So Crimson, are you finally on the page of understanding what pop we are talking about?
What pop?
Yeah, what pop? What pop we're talking about? Are you in your mind? Are you still thinking soda? Are you thinking popping around? Are you thinking popcorn?
Oh, yeah, my mind goes to popcorn now. The podcast
Now
has
it goes to
changed me
popcorn.
forever.
All right. Thank you, writer. Well, it
It was
looks like we're still not on the same
quite the
page.
callback.
That was a callback to our very first cold open we've ever done.
It's true.
Wow.
That is true.
And why did I do that?
Man, we made it.
Because it's
We
1
made
year
2
anniversary.
I mean, we're a year old. We're in diapers now.
I think
Yeah,
we're
they were
always in
doing-
diapers.
We're always in diapers, but we're old enough to
Now
make
we're
noises
teething.
now. Yeah, we're teething and making noises, I guess. But, you
I
know,
love teething you guys.
With me today we have...
hello, I am one of your hosts, a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
I'm a character called Sinister Boy and also one of your hosts.
And I'm Sprinks.
Man,
We got a
So-
lot. We got a lot to talk about.
yeah, well, gotta
Well,
condense it down.
yeah,
right?
this isn't a recap kind of thing. I figure with the recap afterwards of this, it'll have
Well,
things
yeah,
of that.
this-
But
I mean, this would be the recap to end all recaps because it would be a full year.
oh yeah, but
Yeah.
this isn't a recap necessarily. This is an intro
it's
into
not,
the
it's not.
supplemental content that we've hinted at for I don't know months now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And-
I mean, Deca-Decade
kinda
went on
weird.
for quite a while.
Yeah, I can't remember
Whole
what we first
decade.
hinted at it. Was it the first one of season 8 for Deca-Decade? Was it Wizard of Oz we brought it up, or was it before that?
We might have brought it up before. At least I know it was
Yeah.
certainly we brought it up in conversation before. I don't know if it was live though.
I mean, we started planning this in January, so
That's true.
Deca-Decades.
It's
So it
true.
could have popped in anywhere between there and then, here, then and now. Wow.
Then,
Which-
there, now,
Well, you get it today.
Thought
wherever.
across. Yes.
And if you're in the future, well, you already know all this, so. We got a few points that we need to discuss just for, keeping a
business meeting?
organization. Well, no, not
Oh.
a business meeting. More casual than that, but just, we got some we got pleasantries, and then we have at least some specifics, just stuff of what we're
Oh,
talking
Sinister,
about.
we never share the pleasantries.
We never know because we're not very pleasant, but That
That would
I
be a
figured we could
whole
fake
different
it.
podcast.
I figured we could fake it for at least, a few seconds and then devolve into whatever we normally devolve into.
I mean,
Ah.
first and foremost, I think a huge, massive thank you and appreciation goes out to every single person listening.
Thanks to everybody who liked, did
Shared,
really anything,
subscribed.
watched.
Really, on it, and yeah, it's genuine. There aren't many of you, but we appreciate every single one of you.
We do.
It's true.
Thank you.
That's it's what it's kind of the reason we started this to begin with. Just and we figured you'd enjoy the four of us yelling at each other over things. So
I mean,
I mean,
podcasts
yeah,
help
yeah.
with traction through word of mouth, and I feel audience members listening are the most helpful part of that.
that's true. Yeah,
This is the ending of Blair Witch work. You
Okay,
should've
whoa,
seen the
whoa,
monster.
whoa, whoa. Time and place, time and place. This is supposed to be a
man,
short intro.
Was that your favorite thing of the year, there, Crimson?
No. I was just bringing that up because you brought up
No.
arguments.
No, that's
But
true.
if I were to bring up a favorite thing, as lame as an answer as it is, I'll say Deca-Decades. Very appropriate for what this video is already. I quite enjoyed experiencing 100-ish years of
Cinema.
movies. Yeah.
Cinema. As Quentin Tarantino would say, cinema.
As Martin
Not a
Scorsese
roller
would say,
coaster.
cinema.
As Christopher Nolan would say, IMAX, give me more money.
That's a fair choice, though.
Yeah,
Decade
yeah,
was
that's a good answer.
Decade was a lot of it was very fun in the planning stages, which you'll get to see that in a bit. But I think it's a fair choice just because of it got to show kind of the evolution of filmmaking to a degree and how what the decades had to offer and in
Yes.
terms of the respective art forms. So
Would you guys say
And
that's
did
been our
the
most
yeah.
creatively themed season so far?
I mean, I would say so.
Yeah. Our other themes were just Christmas and Halloween, which were
Well,
gimmies.
those
mean,
weren't
those are
even
fine, yeah.
seasons. Those were just specials.
Yeah, themed
We
events.
had season 6 of the worst. That was a theme.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fun
I like
season
that one.
with you guys, but I don't think I enjoyed anything we watched. So I think
I enjoyed the reaction to the things we watched.
I'm in
yeah,
agreement with Sinister.
that
I enjoyed the experience of difference.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite thing with Decades was that it created the question of has film changed in a good way or in a bad way out of all these decades that we watched, and I think we had an answer to that if you want to watch that video, and I don't want to go into that in this one, but
Decades recap,
yeah,
where the question
Decades
was
recap.
dropped.
Yes.
I think my favorite thing of this year that comes to mind is it's mostly on the YouTube end of things for visual side, but Crimson does all our outro art, and every time a prop is chosen from whatever it is we covered that he adds to kind of like a outro banner, and I just love the creativity of what's decided and where it goes, and just the expansion of how much it grows after every episode we do.
Yeah, we're probably gonna need a new room.
Oh, we're not
Pretty
getting
soon.
There's so much room for expansion.
Don't worry, we'll turn it into Warehouse 13. Is that what the script says, Crimson? Why did you write that in?
Yes.
No, not the
yes, that
script.
is in the
Don't talk about the
You
script.
weren't supposed to say that.
Don't talk about the script. Keep to the script. The script says don't mention the script.
The
It
script
is
says
cool to
don't-
see what the room started with nothing and seeing it now.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
I don't remember who pitched the idea originally for that, because I think because we have our banner on YouTube, right, which has all of our favorite properties and everything else that goes into that. But I don't remember whose idea it was to kind of start with it as a blank space.
I think it started with my idea, and Crimson
Yeah.
snowballed it because it was based off of the backup
And I did
name
win
we
that
had for the podcast.
Oh yeah. And then, man, that's even further back.
That takes me back.
Yeah,
It takes
but
me back over a year ago.
yeah, I kind of agree with that, because just again, it's watching Crimson's artwork just how it evolves it's just an awesome thing to look at.
It is truly amazing.
So cheer up, guys. Let's talk about something else.
Reddit, do you have a favorite thing of this year?
Yeah, I don't know if I have like a favorite thing. Just have moments with you guys because you guys are my friends. I quite enjoy the moments where we all agree on something together and have a laugh, and then I also enjoy the moments where we had our, I guess
The scuffles.
our arguments, our scuffs, our
discussions.
debates.
Yeah. The Blair Witch one, the one you and
Blair Witch
Sinister
one.
had in Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I think those are some of my favorite moments, because one of the reasons why I wanted to start this is just kind of get at the core of what makes filmmaking so powerful as an art form, and I think those really help to illuminate both the film's strengths and its weak points as well, and also how we value it differently as individuals. And I think those kind of like that's why those stick out to me. It's not a particular like season as a result, because those are just spread throughout everything that we do for the pod. So
Gotcha. Do
Yeah.
you guys see anything you think we could work on or do better on after 1 year now?
There's a myriad of things that I could improve on, such as saying uhs all the time.
Well, that just occurs in natural discussion. Writer trying to figure out where he is in his
I don't
notes.
say that much in real
Yeah.
life.
Oh well.
I've learned to
It is a thing. Yeah.
I've learned to commentate as I'm looking for my notes now, which is good. I can sometimes fill the gap in the space of quiet while I'm looking for my notes, which I do enjoy. But yeah, that's a fair one. I think if I'm gonna pick one of the issues that I think I don't know if it's my end or just the way my setup is, but sometimes I think I might come in quieter sometimes, but it's mostly just like because two of you guys are talking at the same time, and we're all trying to get what we want to say in, And I remember, I think sometimes I try to interject, and then I end up just falling quiet because I need to let you guys get your points out first. I've hoped when I improved on the interjecting as we've gotten along. At least I'm more polite about it. I usually ask permission to make sure.
Yeah. Also, I think that's something we've all kind of. I still don't think we're great at it, but I think we've all gotten better at letting people have their points, even if we want to get our thing in. I think that's
Yeah,
something.
I think that's something that's steadily improved just by virtue of experience.
Oh,
It's
I'd
not
agree.
perfect, but I do think that again, that's just something that will steadily improve as this continues.
Something
And I
I would
think my
say.
other,
Oh, never
huh?
mind. Go right
Yeah,
ahead.
no,
You're still going.
yeah,
You're
There
still
we
going.
go.
Good
sorry,
example, guys. I'm glad you
yeah,
planned that out.
yeah. So I'm definitely I got one more, and I think this is just for me. I would like to stay on top of our fucking socials a little more, at least at least on my stuff. Hopefully that I'll be able to do that this year a little bit better.
That's good. I would say something I'd like to work on, and it's a little out of the box here, is try to get more guests, or just any get guests
Yeah, we haven't had
to
a guest
appear.
this whole
No,
season.
we haven't. We have tried. Things just haven't worked out on our end or theirs. But hopefully we can get more guests in for different opinions and discussion
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's hard to get 5 people in one room together.
As much
Well,
as
schedule
the
that.
benefit, yeah, the good thing is like we're not an echo chamber. Like we get into enough scuffs all the time. But I would like an outside opinion every now and then to vibe check and make sure we're not losing our fucking minds in this warehouse we have trapped ourselves in.
We are. We are, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Crimson, did you give a point?
I kind of brought up the ums thing, but I also had guests written down as an answer, and just get a new mic for myself.
Oh, audio chat. Yeah.
Oh,
Get a proper audio check. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that brings up a story. Sprinks, do you remember that I don't know what we were testing one day, but we just happened to be testing and recording our audio one day. And then Crimson filled with his audio once, and suddenly he was like the clearest he'd ever been on the podcast. For
Yeah.
It's hilarious to
No,
me.
I remember that.
That
I
is
don't know why. And then also another audio testing thing because Crimson said he got a new mic and it sounded really bad. And then we asked one simple question since we go through Discord if he had like the crisp setting on, which he didn't. And we found out that he hadn't used it at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
No
then
one
he
told me
went
that
back
was a
to
thing.
yeah, and he went back to his old mic because his old mic worked better, and
With it.
his setup
Yeah.
is better. Yeah, because of
So
that.
improvements.
Yeah, good memories.
I guess something that I could work on, or that I would like to improve upon, is being less defensive. I, I mean, it varies. I don't think it just depends on stuff that I'm passionate about. And it's, I don't think I'm aggressive with it, or at least I'm not as as aggressive as I think I used to be about it. But it's definitely something where I'm trying to let it be more casual than it needs to be, or I need to have it be more casual than I'm assuming it is.
But don't worry, audience. We have therapy off the podcast for
We
that
do.
sort of thing.
We do.
It's
We
kind of one of the
we communicate outside the pod as well. It's not just here only.
yeah. I mean, one of the things we kind of agreed on when we started this was that it was going to. We knew that there was going to be times where we really dug into each other and argued deeply about our different perspectives and stuff like that. So one of the ideas that at least I cemented early on, and I think everyone just kind of agreed, is that we need to have some therapy sessions afterwards, just where we chill and just hang out, not live, just to kind of wind down. And I think that's been extremely helpful as well.
Mm-hmm.
Loosen the fingers around the necks. Just
Just a bit.
Common phrase that we
Yeah.
use. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, don't step on the trap door I put in your house, Springs.
Oh, thank you.
Is it a spring door or is it like a exit?
Oh, it's a spring store. Is anyone looking forward to anything in the future or hoping for anything as we continue on?
Mostly, I'm just looking forward to stuff we haven't covered. I can't talk about our specials this year for the holidays, but there's one movie in particular that I've been told for the past 5 years that I need to watch that we're finally getting to. So,
Yeah. So get ready for that to get torn apart. No.
In one way or another.
Yeah. in one way or another.
We tear apart everything.
Yeah, even our soul.
Some people see it as dissecting, very surgical, and others see it as ravenous tearing. So I'm looking forward to doing more. I don't know. I don't think we've had it yet, but we've already, as the time of this recording, we've already recorded it. But something new in recaps going into the future. A little more of like a
Variety?
a little more fun variety add-ons.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where those go because it's still in its early stage, and I am excited to see where those might end up.
Yeah, I'm just
Uh,
excited for potential season themed ideas. I've pitched a lot. I know writers pitched one before. Everyone's pretty much pitched season ideas. I'm just excited for what potential ones we could end up landing on.
Oh, there's tons.
Through this next year.
And even you listening in the comments can write in ideas for seasons ideas that we can go off of.
And we will steal it without giving any credit. No,
Absolutely not.
We'll totally,
Yeah.
we'll totally say which person did it.
Yeah.
Under an assumed name.
I'm more excited for Crimson's artwork. That's gonna be fun to look at as we go along.
Yeah. I mean, currently, right now, if you're watching along on YouTube, and we have our anniversary redecorated, reshaded, and stylized upgrade.
Upgrades, people.
Upgrades.
Upgrades.
We haven't covered that movie yet.
You can tell it's a movie because we have shadows now.
And on that note, it's also great to see your artwork improve, Crimson, as the years got along.
I was Crimson was working on something, and I was calling him, checking up on him, and he sent me whatever the design was for it, and I was like, wow, it looks really good. And then I said, jokingly, I was like, it kind of sucks. Every time you draw something, you get even better, and so now our original PNGs don't look so good no more. And he was like, yeah, I've been thinking about that, and so now we have these newer versions.
Yeah, don't quote me on it, but possibly on our 5-year anniversary, we're going to be in fully rigged VTube models that Crimson has developed, and
photorealistic.
Yeah, photorealistic. Yeah. Real time, 60 frames per second.
Funny enough,
all the way.
I am playing around with VTube rigs tech right now,
Oh my
so
God.
that might come sooner than that. But
wow.
that, maybe, maybe.
No promises.
No, I can't promise anything because you all know how slated my schedule is. I have
Yeah.
5 unfinished D&D
Oh, we know.
campaigns I need to work on, and my books, and
You're a published author. You're a busy man.
yeah.
If we do go down that road, I want to be like Max Headroom. That's my VTuber.
Oh yeah, thank you, Crimson, by the way, for listening to me annoying you and pestering you over getting my 2D waifu in a hologram. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, she stuck around through all the designs there.
And she hasn't given one opinion on anything we've covered.
I know. What a...
Maybe that'll be one of our guests. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
We gotta get a text to speech then.
No, not text. Contract the VO.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
$500.
Maybe.
We don't know.
That'd be funny. That would be
how they charge.
hilarious. That would be hilarious. But you know
Ryder,
what?
that's on your end to figure out.
Yeah.
Great. I'll figure it.
No, that's on our
Yeah.
social team. Our social team will work on it.
What's the deal with these VO rates? Are they just ridiculous or what?
But yeah, I guess anything else to look forward to in the future?
Well, I know at some point
AI.
in the future, it's bound to happen. I don't know if it'll be this year or following year, but there's just things that we haven't covered yet, and haven't scheduled in that I know, more and more choices of things being covered. It's not necessarily looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the discussion points and the back and forth and everything. But at some point, Cat in the Hat is going to be picked by someone.
Oh yeah,
ticking time bomb. Just waiting.
That's an absolute ticking time bomb.
The three of you have seen that, right? And I'm the only one that's.
Oh yeah, we love it. Yeah. Well, 2 of us.
Yeah.
Collectively, all 3
Whoa.
of us love it.
No.
Sprinks won't stop quoting it.
No.
It is Yes, no, that is true. That
Sinister
is the
and
one true thing we've
Crimson.
said so far.
Sinister and Crimson adore it. I heavily do not, and Ryder
It's a
has never
mess.
seen it. So
It's a masterpiece.
Everyone's curious where I'm gonna fall on that one. Yeah, that's to quote oh fuck, never mind. Can't even name the movie.
Insert
quote.
insert quote here.
to quote
Oh,
Cat in the
there it
Hat.
goes.
Oh yeah.
To quote the A team,
Excellent.
quote the A team. That's the deep dark in the podcast right now.
But yes, that's something that'll inevitably occur at some point.
Yeah, maybe literally the
Could
next
be,
episode you
yeah, it
watch
could
after
be
this.
way sooner than I think. But again, thank you all for wherever you're listening from. We greatly appreciate it. We thank you immensely for if you're sharing this with your friends or family, pen pals, anyone, just to spread the
I enjoyed
word
it.
and share the podcast, because that helps us immensely and
Mhm.
help us grow a community and more. I personally just the feedback and the more comments that we can bounce off of and more interactions with everyone.
Yeah, it'll be fun as we continue to grow bit by bit. But yes, thank you for listening. I guess with that, please enjoy the Deca-Decade back and forth that we had when voting on movies and arguing over what we should watch during the Deca-Decade season, because there was a lot of options, and that we recorded it for posterity because we knew it was going to get intense, and we were all correct on that. So thank you for listening for 1 year, and we can't wait to see where we're all going to go next.
All right. Do you guys want to talk about whether or not franchise films should be in this?
I'm
Or
all for including franchise films.
For this list, I think you can stick to the first one. If it's not the first, at least how I'll see it, you can pitch it your way when it comes up. But stick to the first one. If it's not the first one in something, it's going to be hard to sway me. I'll say that.
I'm kind of in the same boat. But
And I'm
there
not.
could
So,
be examples.
Yeah.
well, we'll guess we'll
Obviously,
see
that's
how
why we're
this
having
goes.
the meeting to talk about it. So
Yeah, obviously we'll get this going as we do.
So first, we'll stick.
Am I the only one?
What?
Sorry, am I the only one with 1920s movies?
Yes.
Or did anyone? Okay, in
I
that case,
don't have
I will start with that, and then we can just go through rotation. Like we'll go through the years in turns, I guess. The Lodger, A Story of London Fog, 1927. It's these. By the way, this is all the side. This is the silent film era. I feel it could fucking be stated. I believe this is a horror movie. I need to double check that though. For silent film, let me see. I left all my notes somewhere else, and that's just not helpful right now. Yeah, it's a thriller mystery, and it is in the silent film era. Then we got Body and Soul from 1925, also silent film, but I believe this is a romance. It's a silent film, but it's actually one of the first African American made movies. So it was actually one of
historic.
the movies. Yeah, it's actually one of the movies that I came across in the Academy Museum when I was visiting in LA. It was there was a whole section dedicated to uh, African American made movies, since Hollywood has been has a very discriminatory history. So I figured I may as well do my due diligence to
You
include
don't
something.
say.
um, and then also 1925, the Gold Rush. The Gold Rush, which is I don't. This is the my first Charlie Chaplin film suggestion.
Actually, I did have one more question. I forgot to bring up in the preliminaries here. Should we? Obviously, we're going to have movies that all, if not a couple of us, have not seen before. So, should we be watching trailers to educate ourselves when those said titles are brought up?
that.
I'd
I,
encourage it to.
I'm
that's very
kind
50-50.
of for
That
it.
just kind of like, what is your history with a film discussion point at the beginning? And if you're like, oh, all I've seen is the trailer, or I know nothing about it, it's just brought up then.
Trying to set the precedence, because if you could go purely by what people say, and they're not very notable. Like, I have a couple picks on here that I've never seen before,
Yeah,
just
I have picks on
because
mine,
they're kind
honestly.
of known in the decade.
Yeah.
So it would be helpful that we all know the same thing. Going in with limited knowledge kind of puts that movie at a disadvantage, so you can't really sell it very much.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll point out that I haven't seen any of the 1925 movie or 1920s movies that I'm suggesting, but they were highly recommended. So for the decade.
Obviously, if we watched 100 trailers today, it would take longer. So that's why I'm bringing it up here.
Yeah, not really anything we can do about that.
Okay.
As I said, I think
uh,
that's still up to your own choosing.
yeah, you
To
can.
watch
I
a
mean,
trailer
like,
on yourself, or
Yeah.
to suggest everyone to watch the trailer.
You can
When
suggest it,
bring
that's
up the name.
fine. But when it
Okay.
comes to a movie, you can be like, I've seen nothing on this. I've seen one image. That's it. Or you can be like, oh yeah, I've seen the trailer a couple times. I think I get the gist. I saw the movie. It's just on the history you share at the beginning.
All right, continue what you're doing. Right, or was that the rest of your 20s ideas?
most of my first 4 decades here just have 3 options that I just wrote down. And as we go along, I'll be sprinkling more that I've seen. But yeah, for these 3 I haven't seen either. But yeah, that was my suggestions for the 1920s.
Since this is technically behind the scenes, I'll also throw out what I had, since kind of just Strength and I talked about it. We're not doing 20s.
Oh well, thanks for
Because it
telling
was
me, guys. You
I
just
mean, I
you're
just
just
let you
wasting my
share,
time.
so it not goes through.
Hmm?
I mean, I just let him share, so it didn't get skipped over. You put thought into it, so didn't want to
Yeah,
ignore it.
I was never told that we were starting in the 30s. So
Yeah, 30s to current, which is the 10.
yeah, okay.
because
Well,
that would technically span 10 decades, but it's not technically 100 years, which is kind of the weird thing. For Sprinks, brought up the idea that the 20s would span 11 decades, and I don't go, shoot, you're right. My 20s was Nosferatu, kind of a well-known 20s one. Metropolis, another well-known one, and one I've wanted to watch just because it's a well-known 20s movie. And The Lost World, because it's a dinosaur movie from the 20s. Who wouldn't want to watch that?
yeah, that's fair.
So,
So great
I
picks,
guess
awesome. Moving on.
yes. Yeah, moving forward, should we, like, in our Discord, post our picks so we can visually see all of our choices after we have our talks about each thing? Or
Sure, I'm
that's
down with that.
okay.
Are we just gonna post them in now, like our whole list, or are we just gonna put it in our 30s together? Keep them all grouped.
What do you think, Springs?
Just do the decade we're discussing.
Okay,
So if we're on 30s, just 30s.
I'm gonna put these all in the voting time chat because we never used that more.
Fair enough. That works.
Damn it.
Oh, does it not work?
No, it works. Hang on.
Oh,
It's got a copy and paste function. I'm not too
yeah, I
worried.
was gonna say we could put that at the when we're done.
Alright. I'll just put my name in front of them, I guess.
Ryder, did you by chance check if these are available on streaming at all? I know Sprinks didn't, so I didn't
I
know
have
about
done for several, and they're popping up as I'm looking through, like, hey, this is available here, that sort of thing.
you. Okay.
So let's see, Tramp from the
Because
Will.
obviously things can be different in about 3 months, 2.5 months, whenever we get to this.
Yeah, we'll obviously have to pick up backups and shit like that. I think for this decade,
Yeah,
for this whole
should we
thing.
go to 3? Our primary and then 2 backups.
that's interesting.
I would probably say yes. Something to do.
So I compiled 2 lists because I wasn't sure what we were aiming for.
Mhm.
Yes, you mentioned. The aim is we're just trying to do both. We can't get specific on it. We can do both,
Well,
I think.
we
So
are
we have
going forward
thr-
with 6 choices with Sprinks. So hope you like
Alright.
Sinister's here all along. The number of options. Alright. So I guess
one.
Ryder, you can go first when talking your piece. Merry Christmas.
Sure. I put Triumph of the Will here. It's actually a propaganda documentary piece about the villains of World War II. The reason it's here though is because the filmography of it is and cinematography of it is quite influential throughout the history of cinema. Like this is what the 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 director pretty much invented almost to like grandiose scale shots of uh, the army and stuff like that, and the chancellor's speeches and stuff like that. So it would be a shorter episode, I think, purely because it's just going to be like as I said, it's going to be on the documentary side of things, while also it's just catching them like going through speeches and like public ceremonies and stuff like that. And the only reason this is here is because I have the choice that pretty much takes all the grandiose inventions in the following decade to its like fruition. So that this one would just be kind of more set up for something later. So I'm not as committed to that one. Modern Times is a bit underrated, uh, but also comes highly recommended for the decade. And then I think Gone with the Wind actually speaks for itself, just by virtue of the fact that Sprinks also included it in his list. Um, and that's also a period piece during the Civil War. So
Gone
don't
with
really
the
have.
Wind. Isn't that like a 4-hour movie?
frankly,
I
my dear, I
guess.
don't give a damn.
Yep, that would be a
Okay.
4-hour movie.
I don't know. I'm just looking up these 3 real quick. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I guess I'll go with mine. We all know Dracula. I don't know if we need to discuss more. It's the launching point for the Universal Monsters franchise.
Yes,
And
it was also
then
in my list for a fair bit of time.
Wizard of Oz is Wizard of Oz, very
Mhm.
honestly, and Snow White, um, also a very important film, um, being Disney's first animated, I think, feature
Yes,
length film,
Disney's
Yeah.
first feature-length film.
and it had some other animation big thing, but I don't remember. Anyways, we all know it. Those are mine.
All right, and I'll finish up with mine. So my 2 lists, I had one more for the iconic look of what I thought the decade would hold, and then one a little more in the fun personal of what I um, what I find a little more entertaining. Um, in regards, so for the iconic, I had Snow White being Disney's first full length animated film to really start them off. Um, Next, I had Wizard of Oz, and that movie is still huge today. And then Gone with the
Yep.
Wind, which is definitely when you think of like classic Hollywood films and pictures that resonate with people, Gone with the Wind is one that's usually in that list of like top 100, and it's from the 30s. On the other list of a little more fun was the original King Kong, Dracula, and Frankenstein. So, with these 3 lists we have compiled, there are 4 matches,
Yep.
and I think
Um.
those are the ones we should focus with.
Yes, I'm gonna. Off the top of my head, I'll give you my tier list. I think Wizard of Oz should be first, even though I didn't suggest it. Second would be Gone with the Wind, and then third, Snow White.
Um, I actually think I might agree with that. Yeah, I'm actually okay with that order. What what about you, Sprinks?
I would swap Snow White and Gone with the Wind. I do think Dracula would be at the bottom, unfortunately,
well,
even though
since we
that's the
agree,
universal start. But
yeah. So since we agree that Wizard of Oz is first, do we have that access on streaming? That'll determine whether it's pretty much going to be slotted in.
That is on Disney Plus, I believe.
It is on HBO. It is on Hulu with premium subscription, and it is on Amazon with premium subscription. So yeah, we have availability to watch that.
all
I'm
right,
not
sweet.
worried. Okay, so Wizard of Oz guaranteed for 30 cents.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who wants to write
Alright.
these down? To write down like first choice and then after.
You can list them down in
I got
order
paper
in
and pencil
agenda,
here.
or you can. Okay, yeah, sure. I was just gonna list them down in order in agenda, but we can edit them later with the dates and stuff as we get to them. Okay.
Actually, no, I like the agenda idea better.
Yeah, I that's why I suggested it.
Yeah.
And yeah, barring something crazy happening, we have 2 for Gone with the Wind and 1 for Snow White. And
Yeah.
we can have a conversation that day when, if for some reason it gets lost to the void before we get a chance to film it. But
only
I'm
reason
content with either. But being that it's second and third for me, I'm content with either. I just think Gone with the Wind barely beats it out. So we,
Okay.
like I said, that's something we can just have a discussion over. I won't feel too tragic,
Yeah.
I guess, over that.
No. The reason why I would swap them on the list is because I know Snow White is on Disney Plus, like guaranteed, and the time length of the two. 4 hours versus I think just a little over an hour.
Yeah, that's also fair. But I didn't sign up to be a long form podcaster for nothing. So
No, I know that's just something to why I flopped
consider.
them. Some variable thought.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna get my next batch here.
Sweet, 1 decade down.
Yeah, it's pretty easy though with all the crossover. So
Yes. Let me get my next list.
all right, my next list is in the chat.
I knew it. I know you so well, Ryder.
Oh yeah, I was very fucking obvious. I have bragged about this film my whole life. So yes, of course it's here. Oh wait, that's the 50s. Shit.
Yes.
Wrong one.
Wrong list.
Wrong one. Wrong list. Here we go. Hold on. Okay, here we go. More crossover, baby.
Whoa! You got 4 options there.
Yep.
Well, then again,
Oh, you got 6.
Nah, technically, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Don't you worry, buddy. I'm gonna pass your 6 when we get to the 60s. It's fine.
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
Darn. I should have kept
Crimson,
all my
what's
choices.
is that an actual movie?
I whittled all of them down to 3.
Crimson, is that third
yeah.
option an actual film?
Oh, sorry.
What is that?
That's short. It's what?
Huh. All right. Never heard that one.
Is that
There we go.
okay? I'm like, is that just a placeholder?
All right.
Just have the third.
Okay. Once again, I'm gonna throw this out there for looking at our lists. I'm putting Casablanca first since it's shown up in all of our lists at least once.
I mean,
And
that's
then
true.
Citizen
It
Kane
is in
I'm putting
all of
second.
our lists. Well,
Yeah.
we should
So-
discuss them first because Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz wasn't in your 30s, but that's number 1 right now. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. I guess who should go first? I'll go first again.
yeah, we'll just go down the line.
So yeah, Casablanca, 1940s. It's one of those films that speaks for itself. It's one I haven't seen, but it crosses under the iconic that I definitely should have seen this by now. So it's one of those films that it's here purely because I want to see it, and I know how iconic it is just because of how much I hear about it. It's a Wonderful Life also falls under the same page. Don't know much about it, but
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Nope. Only that
I
I
thought
know
that
it's
was just Sprinks.
only that I know it's iconic and therefore important. Citizen Kane I have seen. It is here for the very reason because I've seen it and I know how iconic it is. I also actually just watched the documentary that that was the about the person that was pretty much the inspiration for the main character of the movie. And this is what was this movie is pretty much the reason Triumph of the Will was even in my 30 suggestion because it's a hello. It's purely because it's a this is taking that grandiose cinematography that was started in that documentary regarding villains in World War II into like a storytelling format to its fruition with very, very over the top and heavy handed symbolism that I think is relevant even now. I wrote essays about this in high school, so I will definitely prop up Citizen Kane as one of my preferences for this decade. Um, and Maltese Falcon is here because Star Lord made a reference to it in Guardians of the Galaxy, and that is also as I researched it, I thought it would be entertaining, and I had forgotten it was a '40s film. So.
All right. With me, It's a Wonderful Life. I have seen this film. I've seen it several times. Uh, I think both of you would actually really like this movie. It's very good. Kind of gets you thinking about life in
I
a
do that
different
enough on my
way.
own, in a bad way.
Yeah, but they they started off in a bad way, but really pull it together in the end to make it a hopeful film. So I think it's a pretty darn good movie. It's technically a Christmas movie, but it's kind of takes a back seat to the actual movie. Um, Casablanca, I put purely because it's well known for the decade. I have not seen it. Um, very limited knowledge on it. And The Third Man, I know. I kind of threw that in there because I know Sinister likes that movie, so I kind of just threw in there something to champion for Sinister if he couldn't do anything in this, so I just threw that in there. Um, so I could say I tried to champion something. All right.
Noble
I
action.
don't really know much about it though. Can't champion it that much.
Well,
Thanks.
with what Ryder started with saying at the beginning of here, I think Casablanca might take the sweep here since we all have it on our lists, and I don't think any of us have seen it now, as what it sounds like.
Yep.
But boy, it's a big one. Casablanca is a classic, from what I've heard and everything. Next on my list is Citizen Kane, spelled correctly, Ryder. Which is a movie I know that's very big in the '40s, still talked about today about how well it is and how just phenomenal it is, um, and how it was made.
I can also geek up, and while watching it, I'll also be able to kind of geek out and give you guys history lessons about the actual person it's based on too, just because I'm that kind of nerd as well. Sorry, go on.
No, it's right. And my fourth, or sorry, not fourth, for the '40s, my third choice is Disney's Fantasia, the first one, for how different it is for a film. It is classified as a film, but the whole orchestrated animated pieces to orchestral classic pieces is just an interesting take for me, at least, to um, change up
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
So that was my.
Fantasia was also on my list at one point,
And
so
then for my
I
kind
get that.
of my fun, personal ones, I have the original Secret Garden. I think that would be a little tongue in cheek for the 1993 version we covered. Um, Bambi, Disney's Bambi, and Disney's Pinocchio. You might be seeing on my lists coming up that if I kind of ran out of a thought in my head, I would look up a Disney movie from that decade.
I no, that's fair. I started incorporating Disney's, I think, in the '60s. Okay, sorry. Um, so
And A Wonderful Life is not on my list for the fact that I classified it as a Christmas film. And I thought that would be better suited for the seasonal festive times to be covered than now.
Uh,
Just an
all right.
opportunity to bring it up.
Wonderful Life's an interesting one because when it came out, it was not intended to be a Christmas movie.
Same with
It
Die Hard.
even came out in the middle of the year. Um, it just kind of got turned into one
That's
over
funny.
time.
Every
Yeah,
time a
it's
bell rings.
yeah.
An
That was
angel gets
definitely
its wings.
yep. So I mean, I guess yeah, I'm happy to move table It's a Wonderful Life for our seasonal stuff. So that way it gets covered because it's one of those movies I do want to see.
I just think that's
Um,
a better opportunity for it to be covered.
okay,
Is
then
a helpful thing.
all right,
But I think
that's easy
Casablanca
then.
out of our list is number one.
Yeah, So It's a Wonderful Life would be, I guess, third as our backup because we'd rather cover that in the seasonal stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make an argument for Citizen Kane to go second,
I'm
purely
fine
because
with
of
it going second
purely because of
as
the
the backup.
importance of it has in the decade. Uh,
I originally had that on there before I put the third man, so I'm
Oh,
all right
wonderful.
with that.
okay, so good. This is good.
Wonderful,
This
good
is
choice of
much
words.
easier than we thought. So Casablanca,
Well,
Citizen
Citizen Kane,
Kane.
and
once we
Wonderful Life.
get into the 80s, 90s,
Oh
2000s
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
it's
Oh,
it's
going to
gonna be
get
80s.
super.
80s
complicated.
Oh
is
yeah,
such that. Oh god, that's the hardest
Once we get
decade for
into
me.
our time frame
I
and
yeah.
was
Once
popular
we
yeah.
get into the
movies,
I'll say
time
now,
for
I was able to limit my list to the three iconic three, fun personal whatever. 80s, I have I think 20 picks. I was able to narrow them down, but I have backups for my backups.
that's impressive.
It's
I actually did a very good job. I'm very proud of myself for keeping that part of those lists under like 5 and 6. So
all right.
man, I tried really hard to stick to 3 each decade, so I managed to do that. All right.
So we have our
I mean,
lists.
3 was my goal, and I did not achieve it, and I'm okay with that.
Well, something I guess to put out there for my lists. My iconic ones I think stand over my fun personal ones. I'll say. So I'd prefer the iconic three choices I have, if that helps.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, and I guess for more behind the scenes talk, Secret Garden was also, I was considering that one as well.
Wow, yeah, I put
As you
that in
put
there
it.
for a tongue in cheek, but yeah.
Yeah.
So we have our lists then of the 40s, the three,
Uh,
the main and the backups.
Yeah,
writing it
dude.
right now.
Casablanca,
So
Also, this
Citizen Kane, and then
this supplemental commentary here we have that will be butchered up in editing and maybe put out. Who knows? Is a good kind of backup for when it comes out. When we start this season and people go, "Oh, why didn't you choose this one? This is better." This is the proof that we talked about it.
this is why.
Yeah.
This right here.
And then we move on to the 50s.
And spoilers, you already saw my list. So.
Wow, you take it out real fast. But
got that written down.
50s,
ready to
my
type in.
last fun one in the 50s was hard to choose. I'll say that.
Sweet.
Almost,
I will have to
almost doubled up.
Yeah.
All right, Ryder, you start.
All right. Well, I want to put Godzilla here. Godzilla's here purely because I've never seen the original, and I want to because I think it'd be hilarious and awesome. In that sort of way, just like because it's gonna be like the monster walking through like a cardboard made city, and that stuff is like amusing to me. So, uh, it's here purely because it's iconic and stuff like that. I've never seen the original, so I do want to see it. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is an interesting choice that's here because I grew up not liking it. It is definitely a family movie, but it is also iconic for the decade. And I was surprised to see it on when I was researching. It came up more than once, and that made me put it here because I actually have grown to love it over the years. I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but I can talk about this one a little bit. The basic premise of the story is it's a family drama. As someone is, it's basically the patriarch of a family coming back after recovering from an illness. Um, and his favorite son is a big screw up, and everyone in the family is like fighting over his wealth. And it is also partially a love story. Um, it is really good with its drama and its cinematography, and it's uh I have nothing but praise for it now. Really, it's one of those movies that uh I really love now, and um it has a message to tell you about life, and it tells you, and its approach to telling you that message is I think is really well executed both cinematically. The music is very iconic. If you haven't heard the song, it's going to be stuck in your head once you start watching this film. And then obviously I have nothing but praise for the writing now, um, which takes me to I guess my last choice, which uh obviously is 12 Angry Men. The cinematography I think for this one is very basic. However, the basic parts are there so that when it changes, it stands out more. Because when that cinematography changes, it becomes very, very like claustrophobic in a very, very good way. And this is a masterclass in script writing. This comes up. This movie will come up in your script writing class at least once. If it doesn't, you have a bad teacher. Um, this is literally like this is the point of this is just the characters all locked in a room together, and that's the story, and they just play off each other, and the drama is excellently written. Every person has a very well characterized voice, so you know that each character, you will know each character's voice by the end of the film. It is a very, very iconic movie for that reason. So, and that is all I have to say about that.
All right. So for me, I also wrote 12 Angry Men. So I agree with every point you made on it. It's very good. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. I've tried to get my family to watch it, and my dad's up to it. We just haven't done it. My mom's like, it's black and white." uh, so
That's disappointing.
yeah. And then Sleeping Beauty, iconic. I haven't seen it since I was like in 3rd grade. It's been a long time. And then the original War of the Worlds, just because I've seen the Tom Cruise one, and I would like to see what the difference is.
It's a big difference.
There you go. Sprinks.
All right. Well, I'll start with the big one here. I got 12 Angry Men on my list. Yes, I did see it in school. Yes, it's still stuck with me. I think I've only seen it twice. It's one of those movies where it's one setting and it is dialogue heavy. It reminds me of a movie called The Circle, where it's just dialogue heavy, and that moves the story, and it's solely kind of focused on writing, which I know Ryder put it on his list. One of the main reasons why is that.
Yeah.
But it's on all 3 lists, and we've all 3 seen it, which is it's good. We all have it on our list, so it's kind of top spot. The problem I
Yeah.
slightly have with this one right now, the only thing that's really weighing on me is that all 3 of us have seen it, and we can discuss it thoroughly,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's nothing really
Finish
new
your
to cover.
list, but yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Secondly, I have Old Yeller. I think that's a classic a kid and his dog story. It's sad. It's pretty emotional. It's a classic Disney. And then my third one is Rebel Without a Cause. I've never seen it, but I believe Sinister's the one who says it's not as hyped up as it is to be. But I hear it a lot, and a lot of people cover it. So it's on my list. For the fun, the one fun one I would be gunning for that I'm sure is like the real underdog and doesn't have a standing chance is Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I think it's a really fun and wild movie. It's it's pretty crazy the story of it, but I really like it. Following up, I have Godzilla, the classic one. I had classic King Kong on my list for the 30s, which I have seen, but classic Godzilla I have not. And then lastly, I have Alice in Wonderland, and I was tied between 5 Disney movies and which one stood out the most to me. And the winner of those 5 was Alice in Wonderland. Sleeping Beauty was one of those 5 as well, with Lady and Tramp, Peter Pan, and I forget the last one. But
Lady and the Tramp, I forgot that came out in the 50s.
yeah, but I had a list of
Well, what
5
about
of
the
those.
live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp?
Kill me now.
Well, the something I can discuss here a little is I think Alice in Wonderland, at least to me, stands far more over Sleeping Beauty, simply because Sleeping Beauty, the best character is Maleficent, and no one really cares about Aurora or Prince Philip or the fairies. Really, it's about Maleficent. That's why they made
But the
2 live
Green
action.
Fire.
The Green Fire of Maleficent, yeah. They made
was
2
cool.
live action movies with Angelina Jolie about it. Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton went off and did that. They have the British '90s version. They have what other Alice in Wonderland? It's been adapted many times, Alice in Wonderland, and I thought that just stood out more out of the choices. That's just me. But then again, it is
since we,
a sweep of 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since the thing that's kind of biting you about it is that we've all seen it. Do you want to put that as our backup?
Yeah, I think
I
that
mean-
should go number 2. For my compiled list of like the 3, I think it should go number 2.
Because if it goes number 2, this is gonna get a lot more interesting for what we're deciding on here for number 1.
I was
I'm
just gonna say we covered Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and we'd all seen that one. But, all right.
yeah.
Yeah, but I saw
Uh,
a different movie.
Yeah, as we learned in the podcast, yes, you very much saw a different
Doesn't
movie.
change.
No, it's just an aspect to put out there about it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm
So like I said,
sure once we get to the newer stuff, we're gonna have
Yeah,
a lot.
because we
of
just
movies
covered
we've
that
already seen.
Casablanca would be the last one. None of us have seen, and this one we have.
Yeah,
So
like
I
I said,
think that
I'm
would
We've
not-
really
all seen
differ.
Alice in Wonderland. And,
Yeah, so like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not against 12 Ring. I want 12 Ring Men either to be in the top spot or the second spot.
I
Mostly
think it should go
because
second.
I don't feel very strongly because we're just gonna have a little more discussion about it. So where do you want it to go, Crimson?
I prefer number 1, but I'll hear out what number 2 is before I just decide whether I guess I'm
Yeah.
for it. Feedback
I would.
in the back seat.
I
We only have
See,
one
number
other
2
double up.
Yeah. For I guess for number 1, it's for me. It's between Rebel Without a Cause and Cat in the Hot Tin Roof. And the reasons are I'm also in agreement with Sinister. Rebel Without a Cause doesn't live up to the hype. I think there is only one interesting thing done in cinematography wise in that entire film, and I reference it during our Miss Marvel coverage. So, um, I think it's a very very boring film, but I recognize that it's super iconic. You know, James Dean and all that, which is why I still would probably hold it up as I guess my second choice behind 12 Ring of Men, or my first choice above it. But I feel more strongly about Cat in the Hot Tin Roof purely because it to me has a far better story, and they do more interesting things with cinematography throughout the course of the movie. But that's
I
also
guess
personal bias because I understand that I have seen that movie and you guys haven't. So caveats, I suppose.
can one of you tell me what Rebel Without a Cause is about? Because I don't. Frank doesn't say
No, I
anything about
can't.
it other than
I think
Sinister
it's
didn't build up the
James
hype
Dean,
to
and
it.
I think he works on cars.
Yes.
He's a mechanic.
So the basics of the story is that there's a kid who is getting bullied. James Dean's character befriends him, and it goes to a point where and without spoiling much, the kid that was being bullied ends up getting a hold of a gun. James Dean's girlfriend, his character's girlfriend, are trying to be there to support him. Pretty much, like they don't want him to do any crazy shit, so they go to talk him down. I think that's more in the climax,
So it's
but
a drama.
yeah, it is.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Um,
something we didn't discuss. We didn't discuss if I mean I think Crimson and I talked about it a little, but try to vary up the genres because we didn't want 9 animated films in a row kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's something to
Um,
just maybe keep on the back burner of thought.
Well, should we do each decade individual, and then once we have our entire list, go over and see if anything needs to be adjusted
yeah, because I
for
mean that's the point where I
for
was
later.
having 3, right? So in
Yeah.
theory, yeah.
So all right. So your fur cat and the hot tin roof is that Springs? What are you rooting for?
Well, like Ryder with Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, I know nothing about. I don't even think I've heard about it. Cat on a Hot Tin
Yeah, I've
Roof.
never heard of it.
So in my book, I feel probably that same passionate way for Seven Brides for Seven Brothers of putting it out there. It's a musical. We don't have one of those. It's a crazy story about one brother who gets married, and his other brothers thinks it's a good opportunity. Hey, if our brother can do it, we can too. So they go and kidnap 6 women from the village, and then they get snowed in at a cabin.
That's
It's an interesting
didn't expect
premise.
that twist.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Sorry for the spoiler, but boy,
No, no,
it's a fun movie.
uh,
But I think, oh boy, I already said I'd prefer Alice in Wonderland over Sleeping Beauty. Old Yeller, I've never seen, but it's not really one I'm gunning for. Rebel Without a Cause, I think I would gun more for over Old Yeller because Rebel Without a Cause isn't a Disney film. And it's also one I haven't seen. Godzilla, I put out there because it's the first initial Godzilla made.
Same
But
reason why I put it there.
Yeah. But to me, it's not a starter point of. I don't think it's the first Japanese monster movie to be made. Is a thing. It's just one of the most, pretty much the most iconic one, which is why in the 30s I was gunning for like Dracula, Frankenstein, or King Kong because those were the first of Universal, and those kind. So Godzilla would probably be my third. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers would be my I guess second, and then 12 Angry Men, but Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, I guess first, 12 Angry Men, then um, Rebel Without Cause. That would probably be my list.
I'm liking the premise of the Seven Brides, but I feel like Ryder feels very passionate about Cat. So
I am very, very passionate about
I would say it's
I
even.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to decide, I guess, between those because out of the other choices, either I haven't seen them or I'm just not that passionate. Like
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, Strix, I've never heard of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
That's how I felt about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Yeah, I haven't heard of either of those.
Yeah, I know. So I think.
Should we check what's on streaming? What's available?
Yeah, let's see what's available.
Well, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is not. I looked that one up already.
Crimson, I can tell you, I can get us a copy to watch Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, but right around the end.
Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If that does have streaming availability, unfortunately, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is gonna take a back seat because
Seven Bride is on HBO Max. Seeing these options though, I still would prefer 12 Angry Men being first. But it appears I am outvoted.
No, I mean I'm like I said,
democracy.
No, you're not outvoted. Like I said, I'm indifferent. So,
yeah, I don't think it's an outvote thing, but
yeah. Like I said, if you're feeling strongly about that, I mean, it is the one that's clearly won on our list here, pretty much. And the only thing is, we've all seen it, so it's not going to be necessarily a unique experience for all of us, but it would be.
I don't think it would really.
Understand why we would cover it.
The fact that we all chose it, which is something else gunning for these lists, we're choosing things that are also like we not necessarily know of because things we haven't seen fit under that, but if we have seen it, we're going for it because it's something that resonated to us and we know of it and like it, preferably. So what I kind of slightly fear with 12 Angry Men is someone says something and the other two just go, yeah, I agree, and we move on. It's not much like discussion point or bouncing back and forth in thoughts. Is what
don't
I
you worry,
kind of
buddy.
think.
We will.
I know. There's plenty to talk about, but that's just something that's
juror number 10.
Yeah, I didn't like his stubble. Actually, it was bad makeup or whatever.
Like I said, I'm gonna move Cat on Hot Tin Roof to one of my personal choices eventually. Then, I'm down to kind of step away from that.
I hope it becomes available for streaming then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do I. In that case, I guess with my reorganized, I would probably put 12 Men first, Rebel Without a Cause, and then you feel very passionate with Seven Brides, Seven Brothers, so that would be my third, I think.
Okay, that works for me.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men, Seven Brides, and Godzilla would be my order.
Okay. So I guess if
Ryder,
we're gonna just kind of combine the list,
Ryder,
then
you
that
feel
means...
more for Rebel Without a Cause over Godzilla?
I mean,
because Godzilla wasn't on your top 3. But.
Yeah, Godzilla is very iconic. Like I said, my as far as I'm concerned, my third is pretty much interchangeable because a lot of these are really great choices. So Godzilla is probably, like I said, I would love to watch that movie. And like the only reason I don't have any like passion for it is because I haven't seen it yet. But my passion for it is that I want to see it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So.
All right. So what is the list?
12 Angry Men, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and then I don't think we've concrete a third.
You want a coin flip for Rebel Without a Cause and
Yeah,
Godzilla?
I'd go for Godzilla because it's on 2 lists.
All right, let's do Godzilla then.
And Ryder, you did say Rebel was boring, but
Yeah,
it definitely can be covered at another time.
Yeah, like
I'm
I said,
sorry,
I
yeah.
listed it.
Just Sprinks, you always cover yourself with that. Everyone's got it. We're not. Nothing's off.
I'm just saying to the audience who are like, no, that's got to be number 1. It's like I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I will stand by the fact that it's boring, but I recognize it as iconic. Like I have objective understanding that it's supposed that it does a lot. So. All right.
All right, got that written down. On to the 60s.
And here is where it gets
Oh, boy.
fucking crazy.
Should Ryder start with the 60s, or should we go first? And
Yeah, no, you guys go first. I'm gonna. I got a lot for the '60s here, and I'm pretty passionate about a fair bit of them. So.
oh boy, do I want to? I can't. I was just looking at my list. I'm like, do I want to change anything? I can't. I can't change anything. It has to be as is. All right. First off, Crimson, you forgot. You got to add the movie. There's certain ways they're spelled. That's a different movie.
Well, I mean, we know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. But good lord. We have.
Okay. All right. Am I going first?
Sure, you and I can
Oh,
go.
I guess
and
you're
then we'll,
checking for double up.
Yeah, I see 2 doubles. No, 3.
Yeah.
3. There are 3.
All right.
4.
So,
There are 4. Final answer.
okay. All right. So, I chose Cleopatra because that is one I've been wanting to watch for a while just because of how infamous that movie is and how it almost bankrupted the movie industry. So I want to
Damn it!
see
Almost
what
killed
that's
Hollywood
like.
before it grew into cancerous growth. Damn it! You had your chance, Cleopatra.
Yeah. So it's a very infamous movie, and I want to watch it. And then 101 Dalmatians. Pretty sure we've all seen that one.
Yep.
It's a fun movie. And then the first Batman movie, I think, or at least first live action
Batman
with,
the movie, 1966, Adam West.
Yes.
It's not the first
Yep.
It's not, what was before that?
one. It's in the 40s. It's when Batman
Oh.
had purple gloves. It was black and white, but he had like purple gloves and a weird cowl.
I have not seen it. I'm not that passionate about it, but I put it on there because it's Batman. All right, Sprinks.
Okay, first off, I'll go with the original True Grit with John Wayne. One of the most famous, I think, westerns out there. Next up, another one of the most famous westerns out there, The Good, the Bad, and Ugly with Clint Eastwood.
Yep.
And then my third one is not only
Is
probably
Vito correct?
don't
No, it is not. It's on my
no,
list.
don't
You
say
don't
that. That's one of the dupes. Is The Sound of Music, which I think is one of the most iconic musicals, and oh god, it's way up there with the Julie Andrews role. It also takes place during World War II, I believe.
It takes place just like
Just before
it takes
World War II,
place just prior, I think. Yes.
because the ending is definitely Nazi Germany. So,
Oh yeah.
and then on my funner lists, a dupe with Crimson is Batman the movie. Boy, it's campy, goofy, cheesy, lovable, amazing. I've seen it multiple times. Secondly is The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, a classic Halloween movie I watch all the time, which also can be later picked for Halloween special, starring Don Knotts. And lastly, it's another musical which is really close to my heart, but I don't think it's as iconic as Sound of Music, and that's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang with Dick Van
Yeah.
Dyke.
I grew up with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yeah. The only reason it didn't make my list is that I also think Sound of Music is more iconic. All right. Well, this is the age of westerns, pretty much being born out of Hollywood. So I also have The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And and I also have the original Magnificent Seven on here. I have seen The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but I have not seen the Magnificent Seven, the original. I do, however, want to, they're both really, really good. Or at least I could speak more to Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I think it's a good movie. It encapsulates pretty much everything you want in a Western, typically. The music, though, is iconic and pretty much makes Western music for the rest of the
Oh
genre.
yeah, the ecstasy of gold.
Oh yeah.
Haven't heard that song a billion times.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That is the reason this movie is iconic. One of many reasons. 1001 Nights is as I've listed, probably not one we're gonna go to. It is kind of a and Bella de Jour kind of fall under romance. It's not one of them is more steamy than the other, but it is but they're both iconic in that they kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? Kind of help shape the genre a little further. I also have 101 Dalmatians, 101 Dalmatians, because Disney. Felt it was one of the. I think this was this was my first like Disney movie that I was really, really passionate about. Over the others that's been listed so far. That's why it's here. Because I did notice all the others, but I was trying to hold off because I didn't want to list a Disney movie every time we constructed a list. So
Mhm.
then obviously Sound of Music. Yeah, very, very iconic. And that's one of the reason it's here. It is a fantastic musical, and the story as well is actually quite nice. From off the top of my head, I find it very, very.
It is a good story.
It is a good story.
It's not. It's not a pointless musical kind of thing.
Yeah, like
it's
there's
not
down
silly.
times.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it earns its drama and it earns its payoffs with the music. And for me, that's more rare with music. Obviously, another one's here is Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. The story of Lawrence of Arabia is fucking fantastic. It is based off of a true story of, get this, Lawrence from Arabia. He was a British military officer helping out the Arabians fight the Ottomans during World War One. As a World War One story, and I hope I'm. Fuck me, I haven't read anything on Lawrence of Arabia in so long, and I have been meaning. And the movie also is just iconic because it's an iconic historical story. I can't speak to how historically accurate it is because one, I haven't researched that era in a while. Two, I also haven't seen the movie in a while, but I do remember it being very, very iconic, and it's a good story. I also would not be doing my due diligence without putting an Akira Kurosawa film somewhere on this list, and that my choice for that is Yojimbo, the Wandering Samurai. And the reason that's here is the same reason the westerns are here, is they kind of inspire one another, whereas like the western genre is kind of inspired by the lone samurai genre and vice versa. And Akira Kurosawa, I mean, as a director, his talent speaks for itself. He inspired Star Wars to a degree, and amongst of other stories. Um, Psycho is here because this was more of a fun one that I thought would be that we should watch.
Psycho's pretty big.
Psycho's pretty big. It's a fun one. I don't think it's the most iconic of the decade, but it's here for that reason. My personal favorite choice is obviously 2001: A Space Odyssey, because sci-fi is a genre that's very important to me, and I think this is when
Monkeys.
sci-fi was starting to be. It wasn't like it was getting bigger at this time; like it was starting to blow up. So 2001: A Space Odyssey is also on this list for that reason. That is my very, very long list.
So the matchups we have are 101 Dalmatians, Batman the Movie, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and Sound of Music. I'm going to start by saying I don't think 101 Dalmatians is that big of a Disney film.
You'd be right.
I don't think it's as important as others.
I don't know if it has to be. It doesn't matter. But.
I'm fine with discounting it. I like I said, it's here because it's a personal choice.
Follow up, which is that was me kind of bashing at YouTube because I didn't have it on my list. But I'll go with the follow up. I think Batman the movie would be better suited for a Batman theme later down the line.
I'm okay
We
with
did
that.
something with that. There's a lot of
Okay.
Batmans, we know that, but I think it can it stands out on its own. There's no follow up. I mean, there's the television show, but it's a standalone movie. But I think it can be covered at a later time.
All right, booted. Next.
Sound of Music and Good, Bad, Ugly. Okay, Sound of Music. I think if we go with Sound of Music, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers should not be in the 50s, or should not be the pick of the 50s. But if we're going in order, because 50s comes first, and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers is available over 12 Angry Men, and we can't do 12 Angry Men, I think Sound of Music should be second, because it would be back-to-back musicals, and that's just my thought. It's totally fine if it is. It's just something to consider. But Sound of Music is pretty big. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I haven't seen 100% of the Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and I have not seen True Grit. But I know those are two very big westerns, and I think True Grit is the biggest John Wayne western there is, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think those go hand in hand, but one is
Yeah.
doubled on writer's list, so I think that would go over True Grit. But
Yeah. I have seen the extended version of Good, the Bad, the Ugly. The standoffs are longer, but it's hilarious. So,
I guess what's easier is Sprinks. Out of all these choices, what would be your 3?
my 3 out of all these choices. Number 1 for me would probably be The Sound of Music. Number 2, shoot, it's hard. Number 2, I guess The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I guess it would overtake True Grit, even though I think True Grit. I'm more of a John Wayne than Clint Eastwood. I'll say so. So Sound of Music, Good, Bad, and Ugly, and the third one. I mean, Space Odyssey's real good. Psycho's real good. I don't really know much about Cleopatra at all. Ghost of Mr. Chicken's 2, not iconic. That's silly. I think I'd go with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
3.
Those would be my 3.
Let's see. I think, kind of on your thing, Sprinks. If we end up doing a musical from the 50s for any reason,
The thing for me, which is hard, is Sound of Music to me is far more iconic than Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. So I
fair
think
enough.
it deserves a place more than Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. The problem is Seven Brides is before this, so if it
Yeah.
wasn't accessible,
If
it
it
would
ends
be
up
that.
falling into that,
Yeah, so I think if it's back to back, it's okay. It's just something to keep in mind.
I think if we talk like this throughout the whole thing, it's gonna take forever. I think we should just stick to each decade, and then once we're done, we can then
Okay,
go
sorry,
over.
you
Okay.
you did state that
I,
earlier. I'm sorry.
yeah, I
Okay.
think it would streamline it a little
Okay.
bit.
All right. All right. In that case, I'm gonna do Yojimbo is my number 1. Good, Bad, Ugly is number 2. Sound of Music is number 3. I think for me.
And Crimson.
So Cleopatra, I think, is my number 1 because I just looked up the budget with inflation, so there's a good grasp. It was 44 million at the time, but with inflation, it was over 400 million dollars. Marvel movies now have a budget of around 250 on average.
Can't
So
beat out James Cameron though, can it?
so that's huge. And the only downside to Cleopatra that I have is that it's almost 4 hours long. But it's about Cleopatra trying to save Egypt from Caesar and Mark Antony. So it'd be an interesting piece. It goes somewhere else in the world, with Egypt, obviously.
I got one that goes to Arabia. That's
I know. I'm going for my pick. So I'm still rooting for that. My second one would probably be Sound of Music. I know that's a shocker. And my third, the hard one, is probably Space Odyssey.
So compiling those
don't have-
through 3 lists, it sounds like Sound of Music's number 1.
Yes, Sound of Music would be number 1. I'm gonna. I want Space Odyssey. I mean, like I said, my third is interchangeable, but I really want to see Space Odyssey again, and this just give me an excuse. So, I'm content to put that on my as my third.
Really, I mean, I don't want to just veto out all of Crimson's choices, but I think Cleopatra should be third. Good, the Bad, the Ugly is second. Sound of Music 1. That's what I'm
I
thinking.
mean, Sounds of Music. That's Disney, isn't it? Right?
No,
No.
No.
What is that?
that's MGM Studios, The Lion, I think.
Yeah.
I'm seeing what it's streaming on right now. Okay. It is currently on Disney Plus. It is likely to stay on Disney Plus. So if we go with Sounds of Music as our primary, I don't think we really have to worry too much about what comes after.
Okay.
Because I doubt that's going to leave. So, all right. So we're doing Sounds of Music because it was on our 3. Just different priorities for us.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay. So no backup is what we're saying?
Well, we
I
will.
mean-
I'm just saying it's not that important because
Okay.
I doubt it will.
I think
factor.
the Good, Bad, the Ugly is the backup. But okay.
Yeah, I would probably put Good, Bad, and the Ugly as backup. I would even if it's not my choice as a backup, that's the one that just would win. I think just at a pure iconic stuff and just the crossover.
I know this next list of mine. I know the iconics are the iconics for the 70s. But I know the fun ones are probably what are going to be more gun-ho on choice.
Fair enough.
What was our third?
Uh,
Sounds of Music, Good, Bad, and the Ugly. What was the other one?
I said
Cleopatra.
Cleopatra for Crimson's sake.
You and I said both Space Odyssey. At least
Space
our third, but
Go with Space Odyssey. It's okay.
it's okay. I got sci-fi. I got more iconic sci-fi
Yeah.
coming.
I just
I'm not
didn't
too
want to
worried
rule
about
out
Space
all
Odyssey.
of Crimson's choices kind of thing. But then again, it's on
I
thought.
have a feeling that's going to happen through a lot of these.
Yeah, well, if he's only
So
got
Space Odyssey
3
for
of each
3 is fine.
decade, it's
Because
gonna
I
be
put more personal stuff than iconic stuff.
yeah. Godfather was on this list too. It took a lot out of me to not keep it on it.
Oh god, I'm gonna get butchered.
Oh my God, Pete's Dragon came out. This
I'm gonna get butchered.
Oh God, Grease.
Yeah, if you look, all my fun ones are all musicals.
Yeah, I can see.
But then again,
we're doing Sound of Music the previous decade.
I know. But God, I mean, look at those choices. I mean, out of those 3, I think Pete's is the lowest of iconic, but still. Oh wow! Oh boy, we have one repeat.
Yep.
Which can
well,
be easily discussed.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Okay. I'll go down the line since I don't have such a fucking bulking list this time. All right. Well, I put Star Wars 1977 first. For obvious reasons, for what it did for filmmaking in terms of pushing like the genre forward. It is very, very. Obviously, the first Star Wars movie is very iconic. A New Hope is what we refer to it. Back then, it was just Star Wars. I don't need to pitch that to you, Goyle, because I think you've all seen it.
Correct.
I think I have.
Yeah, I would hope so. Otherwise, I don't know how we're friends. So I don't need to pitch that one, but you all understand why it's on my list. More than just being a big fan of Star Wars, it's also deservedly on this list in the 1970s. Some lesser important ones that I still think are iconic. 1978, Christopher Reeve's Superman. Pretty much like, I think this isn't the first time that a superhero was on the screen, but this is the first time that like it blew up to such a very, very big degree.
Yes.
Christopher Reeve's Superman is very, very iconic, and so is the constant Lois Lane screaming. And these are the movies that started that. And it's very campy from what I remember, but it's still, I can still go watch it with the smirk on my face as you go through the day, and you know what? It's not too bad. It does a good job of characterizing Superman, which is more than I could say for Zack Snyder's stuff. So, um, uh, next on this list is Enter the Dragon, 1973. I would not be doing my due diligence in making an iconic movie list without including a Bruce Lee movie. Enter the Dragon is a Bruce
Someone
Lee
argue
movie.
the Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah, someone absolutely argue that is the Bruce Lee movie. And this also showed up at my Academy walkthrough. And I have not seen it, but it is one that I need to cross off my list at some point. So obviously that's what this is here. And failing the fact that we didn't get Space Time Odyssey done, Alien is here. The first one, the horror movie, not the action movie. Because I think this movie is extremely well written. I think eventually it has a female lead protagonist, which is very rare in these days. And I what can I say other than just I love it, and it's here because I think the script is very tight, and it does wonders for the horror genre and also pushes the sci-fi genre forward. So
All right.
I guess am I going or you, Strings?
Crimson, you go ahead.
Okay. All right. All Quiet on the Western Front. Now, this is specifically the 1979 version because I think there's been
I like
They
all
just
four
came
of
out with a
them.
new one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of relevant now.
Yeah.
It's a movie about the German side of World War One.
Yeah.
And the horrors of war.
Yeah.
It's a pretty darn solid movie.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not gonna interrupt you. I'm just gonna piggyback off you, or I'm gonna interrupt you to piggyback off of you.
I'm pretty much done with that one.
Yeah. So, to kind of just piggyback off you, it's also a really iconic book, and the story is, it is about the World War One from the German perspective, but I think it does wonders in like, the point of the book the point of the story is an anti-war story, and obviously when Nazi Germany came about, they banned this book, and it still is, I think, considered on the list of banned books because it's a very, very violent story, but it is a wonderful depiction, wonderfully horrid depiction of World War One.
Yeah, and it talks about the power of propaganda and stuff. It's pretty good. We get the first Star Trek movie. I think I saw this a very long time ago. I don't really remember it much. I put it on here strictly because I like Star Trek. But it is one I'm not super passionate about on this list. And then Carrie, I threw in there for variety. I don't know if you guys have seen Carrie, but you both probably know what it is.
I know the
The
concept.
Stephen King, right? This is the Stephen King
Stephen
story.
King.
That's the one with
Yeah.
John Travolta, I think.
Yeah, girl gets picked on in school and things happen. But horror genre, pretty big movie. I mean, they've made a remake of it a few years ago. Yeah.
All right. Well, I also on my list have Star Wars as, A New Hope, Episode 4, because boy, it's a big one. I have the first Jaws film. I have the first Godfather. And then those are the iconic ones, I thought. And then my more fun, which kind of the iconic ones are all, the start of a franchise. And then all my fun ones are musicals with the original Pete's Dragon, not that 2017 garbage, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Grease. Then again, Grease also has Grease
Willy
2.
Wonka considered a musical.
It is.
I mean, it's a movie with music, but I don't know if I'd call it a musical.
I'd classify.
Is it actually classified?
I think so.
I would
I'm looking it
classify
up.
it as one.
All right,
Um,
continue. Sorry.
Should I say?
Or
I'll
so-
say
Or
something
was that
first.
yourself?
Those
or
were
was
my
that your selling
lists.
points?
Myself, I don't know. Well, I'm contradicting now because of the franchise thing and the discussion we had of it can be its own season later down the line. That is something that's in my mind of like, if I did Jaws, there's the other Jaws movies, do Jaws later. Godfather, there's the big Godfather 1 movie, could do the other Godfathers, it could be a separate trilogy at different times. Star Wars is huge. And if we start with the
That
first,
one, Star Wars, I strongly feel should be its own season.
okay, Star Wars should be its own.
Uh,
That's the thing with my iconics. I
what
feel
I'm
like
feeling.
they
I'm
can be
gonna-
set later.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Like I said, Star Wars is iconic. It needed to be mentioned. I'm also content to make that its own thing eventually one day. So I'm down to not, even though that's our only fucking crossover between votes.
I
here,
know that's yeah.
I'm down to move that to the bottom of our list. So that would be our Store Fire
Third?
number 3. Yeah.
Because it's the only repeat.
I mean, should it even be there? I don't feel like just because it's
okay, well,
there, it
I
has
know-
to be in our
I know
our 3 choices.
for how big Star Wars is and how much of fans we are, it will be covered. It's not going to get ignored.
Yeah,
it might be
yeah.
way down the
We're
line,
definitely going to
but
have a
it's
Star
going to
Wars
get
season.
yeah.
We just
it'll
don't
be
know when that
tackled.
will be.
Yeah.
I just
Okay,
think it would be weird
so-
if we did 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and just skipped it. And it's like, oh yeah, we did that months ago, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I guess I'm content to, even though it's our only crossover, we can remove it.
Yeah, which brings up the
Um,
hard part of now what.
Yeah, which then makes this harder. I am gonna argue against Star Trek because the first Star Trek movie is not iconic. I say this lovingly. That movie's very bad.
Like I said, I wasn't too passionate about it.
Yeah,
I'm
like I said, that
alright with
movie.
that.
I know. So like I said, I'm gonna. I know you're not passionate about it, so I'm not necessarily vetoing it. I'm just gonna argue against it. I have seen it because I also, like you, am a very very big Star Trek fan. But it is a very very slow and boring film. Which is a shame. But Gene Roddenberry, I really wish we could cover more of his content on our stuff. But his vision of the future is very very wonderful. Even though Deep Space Nine is thoroughly against his vision, that's my favorite Star Trek. We'll get to that when we get there eventually. But I the first Star Trek movie is just filled with, is just isn't it to me. It's a very boring film. And while I do love all the characters in it, I don't think it's enough for me to want to consider it on our list.
What I stated with my iconic ones of being franchise films, and I feel iffy on them. Just like they can be covered at the time. Rather, I feel that way for Superman and Alien on your list. They're franchise films that could have their own season or just, down the line of like back to back at a later date.
So are you discounting all your own iconic ones?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. With Superman,
Uh,
there was five, right, in the original
Fuck, I
Superman
only
run.
watched the first 2 because
I think
everything
there's
fell apart
4.
after that. I'm only here to advocate the first 2. I'm not gonna.
No, I know.
Fuck.
Well, we have these first ones because of how big these first ones are, but they are
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah,
And like Godfather, you can't do Godfather without watching Godfather 2. So
at least. Yeah.
Same with Alien, you can't watch Alien without Alien 2. So I feel like they should be covered in their own.
And then Aliens gets a little
back-to-back
tricky
trilogy.
with the connection to Predators and how does those go?
Oh,
But yeah,
well, do we want to cover AVP? I don't think we need to do that.
at one point, I mean,
That will be
it's-
discussed,
yeah,
I would
when the
imagine.
time comes for that.
Because if we're doing
Alien
AVP,
vs Predators, it's technically its own franchise in of itself. There's like 3 of those, isn't there? 2 or 3.
yeah.
But Ryder, out
Embrace
of your
the
list, I would gun for Enter the Dragon out of those because of what's been discussed. And I guess for my own of the other 3, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Grease, and Pete's Dragon. Grease does have a follow-up of Grease 2. It's horrific,
know that.
but there is a Grease 2, and I don't think Pete's Dragon is iconic or as popular as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I looked up
Alright.
Willy Wonka's a family fantasy.
All right. I think my order is going to be thus. Then, All Quiet on the Western Front is going to be 1. Enter the Dragon's going to be 2. Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory is gonna be 3 because I think we've all seen that.
Okay.
Also, Willy Wonka's apparently not on streaming, according to Google.
Oh,
Don't know
Well,
if that factors in.
well, Ryder, I don't know if you're also factoring what you have on disc or what's available on disc, if that's a thought.
I don't have discs. They're all my discs are in a different state and storage.
Okay, so it has to be streaming then.
It has to be streaming, but I also own lots of movies via like Apple TV because my family loves buying digital copies of movies. That's how I know I have a version of Alien and Enter the Dragon, I think, as well.
Okay.
And Superman and Star Wars. No, Star Wars is all on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I'm not too worried.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have The Godfather as well. I think we have Jaws. The hardest, yeah. So
Oh boy, what would be my list?
I guess while you think, mine would be All Quiet on the Western Front, Enter the Dragon, and then Carrie.
all right, so we were agreed on our first 2 then, at least,
Yeah.
which is something.
I think for the fact that you both stated it is the Bruce Lee movie, I would have Enter the Dragon as first. I don't know like anything on All Quiet on the Western Front, so I don't know how big that. I mean, I know it's relevant now with a remake.
Oh yeah, they've made it like 3 or 4 times.
There's a bunch of different versions of
pretty
it.
well known.
Yeah.
I would go Enter the Dragon, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Carrie. That would be my 3.
Tricky. We got 2 people voting for a 1 that didn't make it on the list for 3rd, and 1 that made it on our 2nd, but first on someone else.
Well, we all had Enter the Dragon on our list, right?
Yeah.
So that should be the top.
I'm looking it up if it's available currently.
I think the order list then, just by virtue of number of votes, would be, if we're gonna do it that way, Brinks, it's gonna be Enter the Dragon, Quiet on the Western Front, All Quiet on the Western Front, and then Willy Wonka. You said? Oh no, you're putting Carrie. You said.
I said Carrie.
Yeah.
I did not have All Quiet on my list.
Yeah. So what was your second? That was Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Okay, so Willy Wonka would be the group 3rd.
Okay.
I think because that was a crossover between you and me on our list.
Okay, so
see, this is the exact reason this is supplemental and backup.
Yeah.
Because people will want blood that Star Wars is not the pick.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. They're gonna want blood that the fact that Alien wasn't here, Superman wasn't here, Godfather wasn't here, Jaws wasn't here.
Like this is discussion
we're
why.
so fucking sorry. I mean, like
right, so
we're doing a lot here. We're promising to cover content now.
Yes.
That's the problem.
That's fine. It's good.
So it was Enter the Dragon, All Quiet, and Willy Wonka? That's what it was?
Yes. That is
Right.
the 3 for this.
Oh, 80s.
Dun 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 dun.
Okay, so something I will say I had in mind for my iconic. I have like the just in case backups, but something I kept in mind was if knowing the guarantee that Sinister wouldn't be around for these, like he might guest, but not necessarily be around, I didn't want to choose things I knew he would want to lead or be a part of. Just something to help me compile my list. But I will go last. You two can go before me.
You got a list.
Yeah.
So I put Back to the Future, because that's classic, and honestly, this is the only one of the franchise I care about. So I was content to cover the first one, because I love the first Back to the Future movie, no matter what I think of the rest of the franchise. So that's here purely because it's iconic, and time travel shenanigans is always a fun mechanic to play around with if you're doing it right. So. Then I have Akira here. I figured this would be one Sinister would love to cover. But I also put it on here because it's also very iconic for the anime industry. And I got My Dinner with Andre, which is more. I was surprised it showed up in an iconic list, but it's also one that's a little close to home. I think for those of us who had a very particular class in high school together. Um, and then I got Aliens here for the franchise. If for any reason we went with even though like because Aliens, the first Alien movie is iconic for being a horror. This one's iconic for being an action flick. And I thought that was distinctive enough to warrant two separate places, whether or not we covered the other one. Um, and the first Top Gun is also here because Tom Cruise, baby, and that there is no denying how iconic that movie is, especially now with
It is
the new
now.
one. Especially now with the new one, it was iconic
It's-
then, but it is even more iconic, and like the iconography of it hasn't diminished at all, and that's proof of the success of the most recent one. Um, and while the story is basic, it is iconic. Tom Cruise playing himself as Maverick. um, yeah, so that is mine.
all right, so I chose Big Trouble in Little China, which is an awesome, cheesy '80s action film with Kurt
I
Russell.
believe it's one of Crimson's favorite movies.
Pretty darn good. Ryder, have you seen that?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't want to have to describe it then. All right, and then The Changeling. Put in another suspense film here. It's about a man who lost his family and moves into a house that's haunted, and he through the movie tries to solve the murder of the haunting of that house. Yeah, it's a pretty well known movie at the time, but kind of has fallen to the wayside nowadays. And then Naked Gun is a comedy I've been wanting to watch for a while. It kind of looks like airplane-esque humor, or like the I guess the movies like superhero movie, scary movie, that type thing. Uh, so those were mine.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start with the franchise. The only repeat I see here is Back to the Future, which I do have.
Yeah,
It's
I will tell you right now, Princess Bride and Raiders of the Lost Ark were both on my fucking list at some point.
yeah,
I just removed them because I knew you would put them.
yeah. There's
Literally.
Back to the Future, and then Raiders of the Lost Ark, but they're both franchise, but they're both up there. One that isn't is The Princess Bride, which I think is big. That's still talked about. There
Yes.
are books written about it. That the actors are known for their roles in that.
It's inconceivable how long it's
Yeah, that's.
stayed relevant.
Then I have my fun picks, and it was hard for me to narrow down a John Hughes movie that stood out the most to me, and that would be Ferris Bueller's Day Off. A close one was The Breakfast Club, which I have in my
Yeah.
backups, but
Yeah,
I
The
think
Breakfast Club is also one that made it on my list.
I think Ferris Bueller's Day Off just resonates more with me, and I think I've seen more. But next I have The Neverending Story, which I almost forgot. It is a franchise. There's like 4 of them, but the first one's like the best one. And then lastly in my list, I have Rain Man, starring Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, and it's a very good movie. And then I'll just go down the line of my backups, just in case. I have, Michael Keaton, Tim Burton's Batman, The Land Before Time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Shining, The Evil Dead, The Karate Kid, Dead Poet Society, Dirty Dancing, Footloose, and The Breakfast Club. And in those, just in case backups, Evil Dead and Who Framed Roger Rabbit would be 2 that I think Sinister definitely should be a part of.
Yeah. 80s was very difficult.
Yes.
Can you tell me about Rain Man a little bit?
Rain Man is.
You only told me who's in it, and I don't know
Rain Man is about a guy, Tom Cruise, who finds out he has a brother after, I believe, the passing of one of his parents, and he goes to get his brother, who's not all mentally there, but he's very highly skilled in like numbers and sees everything differently, kind of thing. And it's just about Tom Cruise trying to build up a relationship with his brother to the point where at the end, Dustin Hoffman, his brother, has to choose, like, is he going to stay with Tom Cruise, his brother, or is he going to remain at the institutional, like, house where they care for him?
Okay.
I think I got that correctly. I haven't seen it in a while.
I guess Ryder, what are your three you are thinking?
Princess Bride would be my number one. I think I want to get horror in here somewhere, so I'm probably gonna put The Shining as my number two. Shockingly. And three, I'm gonna go with Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, this one is difficult.
No shit.
What's your language, sir? Yeah, I'm having the same thought you guys had earlier about all of us have seen Filmmaker Man, but Princess Bride is so good.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like it's hard.
So, like, I guess Princess Bride, Big Trouble in Little China, and The Changeling.
Oh boy. Number one would be Princess Bride. It's just so. It's a movie that
It's the
has so
thing.
many genres in the movie. It
Yes.
stands out. That's a big selling point for me right now.
Yeah.
I think. Shoot! It is so hard. So hard. I'm going to step away from personal thought and go for more iconic. And my second is going to be The Breakfast Club. I think that is probably one of the most iconic John Hughes films, and he's a director who revolutionized the coming of age teen movies. So Breakfast Club would be number two. Number three. God, it's so hard. I want to choose Rain Man, but just so we can have a safe backup, I'm going to say Big Trouble in Little China.
So landslide victory goes to.
Yes, Princess Bride.
And then
Big Trouble, and our third, we didn't really have a connecting tissue.
we didn't have a connective tissue.
No.
I think.
What was it? Changeling,
I'm
Breakfast
gonna
Club, and
Changeling, Shining, and what you just said.
yeah.
Breakfast Club. Yeah, The Shining's here. Obviously, the reason I put Shining up is just because
Horror.
yeah, horror. We haven't gotten horror done
That's
yet.
why I
That's
put
why.
Changeling.
Yeah. If Changeling is a horror, I didn't know that's horror. So I'll.
It's classified as horror suspense, or no, horror thriller.
Okay.
I don't
Then
know too
I'm
much
fine
horror
with either.
elements.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with switching my third vote to The Shining from The Shining to The Changeling because I want to get horror as in somewhere as a
Yeah.
backup because it's coming up a lot, but it's not quite making it.
Yeah, I just feel bad not having a John Hughes in the running.
I know.
But
I know.
sure, let's go with the Changeling.
One decade.
The best thing about the John Hughes movies, they're all standalone. Well, the good ones are standalone.
Home Alone. I mean, I think he wrote those. Those are backups.
The good ones are standalone.
Oh, ooh, yee. Okay.
Well, Sphinx, you're one who doesn't like the third one and
No.
fourth, and
Those weren't John
I haven't
Hughes.
seen the fifth. Well, it doesn't matter as part of the franchise.
I like
Home
the first
Alone.
one. There
Matters
we go.
because of the writing. Also, I'm sorry for Dead Poet Society is also really good. It's really good.
Yeah, Dead Poet Society, honorable mention. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And Princess
Okay.
Bride
Look,
is on
I have my
Disney
list in
Plus,
there.
so
I have my list in there
probably
for
be
backups.
pretty solid.
I got my backups. I put those out there. People are gonna freak out. All right, good. 90s. Moving on.
All right, yeah.
90s coming out, swinging.
I think the 90s was the most. The 90s is a. I have a Disney movie in my list, which is the Disney movie I'd be gunning for the most out of like the ones we've had. I mean, Snow White's pretty big. I mean, being the first, but for all the other ones we've had,
Are you guys that fast at typing, or I've just had these preloaded?
I already have my list
No,
saved.
mine's
just
already
copy-paste.
mine's already pre listed on our digital list. I'm just
Okay.
literally copying and pasting. So yes.
Oh, crap. Ryder, that's a good one. Oh, no. Hang on, Crimson. Is that the one with Will Smith?
It is.
Oh, boy. All right, who wants to start? Ryder, go ahead.
In the wild lab.
Alright. Ghost is a this one's very personal. I will not claim it's iconic, but the basic premise is but like it's a little bit iconic, but it's not like
I'll
That
put
one
this
with
out.
Whoopi Goldberg in it.
Yes, I'll put this
Yes.
out here. It was my favorite romance movie I've ever seen until I saw Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
You know what? I can respect that because Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is my favorite romance now as well. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yes.
But yeah, Ghost is definitely it's a very I think it's a very good romance movie from the 1990s. It's very sad, but it's very the way it depicts it is very iconic. I feel.
It's so iconic
Um,
they put it in the pacifier.
I mean, it's Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. So yeah. And then obviously Pulp Fiction, baby. Gotta include my boy Quentin Tarantino here. Cause best dialogue writer in the business. Um, and say what again? I dare you. I double dare you. There's a reason this movie's here. It's very iconic. I don't know what everyone's history, whether they've seen it or not, but it's here because it deserves its place in terms of being an iconic '90s movie. Same with Schindler's List, Silence of the Lambs, and Jurassic Park 1. I don't like. I said, I'm just Silence of the Lambs is uh, I don't remember the writer, but it's Hannibal the Cannibal.
Yeah.
And it's from the perspective of a young CIA. I think it's CIA. Fuck.
Was she a profiler in it?
I think she's a
China?
profiler. Yeah, she's a young profiler, and she works with Hannibal the Cannibal. And it's Anthony Hopkins, man, just kills it. Like,
I mean, yeah, his role's iconic in that.
yeah, very iconic. And then obviously, I love Mads Mikkelsen's portrayal as well. And they both do a very different versions of the same character, but they're both wonderful and iconic in their own ways. But this is here because of it, purely because of Anthony Hopkins' performance, and I do think the script is very intense and very good. And Jurassic Park, it may be a franchise movie, but I still want to wash the taste out of my mouth for Jurassic World Dominion. So
Oh,
that's
It's
why
still
this is here.
lingering in your mouth a little bit.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
bad.
I
Oh,
still
boy.
want to cleanse my fucking palate here. So Jurassic Park, the original, and it is also very iconic. John Williams score. You hear that everywhere you go, and you see dinosaurs in the back of your head.
And one could say it's still a very good Spielberg.
It's a very good Spielberg movie because I'm trying to hit directors and stuff here as well every now and again. Hence why I brought up Kira Kurosawa earlier and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And it's got a tightly written script, and honestly, it pushes the bounds of CGI and practical effects to the next level in the way that Star Wars did in the '70s. Um, and much like Back to the Future, I have less care about the rest of the franchise, so just the first one would be nice.
Crimson.
Interesting that we got Schindler's List and Life is Beautiful here. So Life is Beautiful is a foreign film about the Holocaust and is one of the saddest movies I've ever watched. I teared up from it for sure. It's very solid. You get to see the whole perspective of the Holocaust through the eyes of a Jewish family. Pretty strong. Wild Wild West. Ryder, have you seen that one?
Hold on, I'm actually gonna look that up right now because it
Kind
sounds
of like
familiar.
a steampunky Western aesthetic with Will Smith and shoot, who's the other one in there?
Yes, I have seen this. This is
Yes.
amusing.
It's an out there movie. I threw it in there just because it's out there, but entertaining nonetheless. And The Haunting, not a very well known movie. Got a pretty big cast in it though. It, it's I guess it's responsible comedy. I guess it all takes place at a haunted house, and hijinks ensue. It's got Owen Wilson in it.
Oh, okay. I know what that is. You said Owen Wilson. Okay, I know that movie. Okay. I am shocked that neither of you two have the Shawshank Redemption on your list.
I
It was.
did and got rid of it because it's not on streaming.
I want to
I'm
call.
gonna be honest.
I'm sorry. I want to call you both turncoats. That's so.
Feel.
It's
I mean,
so surprising.
you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. The reason I didn't include it is because I knew you would.
Oh. Yeah.
I only
double up.
wrote what I knew is streaming. So there's a lot I had written
Yeah,
down. And
that's
had to get
something
rid
I
of.
didn't do. I didn't
So-
write down knowing it was streaming. So, but man, Shawshank is so big. I saw it in theaters for its 35th anniversary. Boy, it's a big one. Second up, another big one, Toy Story 1. It's a franchise, which is the upsetting part about what we've discussed so far, but it is the first Pixar film.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna give you a hot take. I think Toy Story 2 is more iconic.
I don't think it's more iconic, but I do
I think it's
prefer
more
it to.
liked.
Yeah.
I don't think it's more iconic. I think it's more liked.
And then lastly in my list of the iconic ones is Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting's fucking good choice.
What a punch in the gut
Forgot about that one.
of a movie. Then for my fun ones, I have Beauty and the Beast, which is my personal favorite Disney princess film. I really love Beauty and the Beast.
You love them book readers, huh?
Dude, Beauty and the Beast is phenomenal.
Yes, I fucking
think
do.
it's great. Yes. Secondly, I have Saving Private Ryan, which another wonderfully done Spielberg film. And then lastly, for fun, I didn't realize it was 90s. I thought it was the next decade. But Robin Hood and the Prince of Thieves. Very fun Robin Hood story.
Oh, I forgot to mention I put Robin Hood the original animated movie at some point in my list as well. Back when the
Oh,
decade
the
was
Fox one?
relevant. Yeah, I love that
I
movie.
think that was
Good movie.
40s or 50s.
Yeah, very old, but fucking great.
Okay, well, number one problem, we don't have any dupes.
Yeah, no, we do not.
I know
But-
I'm biting my own tongue on this, but Toy Story, I'll put it in the background. We can do Toy Story at a later time. There's 4 of them. That could be its own
yeah,
season.
I'm gonna also.
And Beauty and the Beast has a couple sequels.
Yes, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast does have sequels, which suck, but it does count.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously, I mean, I would push for Jurassic Park, the original, but purely because we've already done a bit of that out of order. But I'm also willing to put that off because I do understand that's technically a franchise film as well.
Yes.
Right, slowly whittling these choices down a little bit.
Crimson, your list is wild. It's I did not expect those 3 choices.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we hit the same genre between Schindler's List and Life is Beautiful, so
I'd fight for
kind of-
Schindler's List more out of the 2 because A, I know of Schindler's List and it's also Spielberg.
Yeah.
Just to put a Spielberg in there somewhere. But also I would go the only reason Pulp Fiction, great pick. I'm not dissing that, but Tarantino is Sinister's favorite director, and that's something I think he should be a part of. Just another thought.
Yeah, if we do Pulp Fiction, we'll schedule it out so he can be there. Obviously, at least that's what I think we should do. But yeah, so I guess I'm gonna do my list because I think I got it narrowed down here. I'm gonna do Silence of the Lambs number 1. I'm gonna do Shawshank Redemption is number 2, and my third will be Life is Beautiful because I think I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I would probably make go up there in one of your favorite World War II movies, I would imagine.
I imagine it would be, yeah.
Spring Sequel.
Number 1 would be Shawshank Redemption. Out of this list of the films I have seen, I think Shawshank is up there. Shawshank number 1. Number 2, damn. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Schindler's List. I've actually never seen
Shawshank is not available on streaming.
I said that.
Yeah.
it. And Ryder, you don't own it.
I don't know if I.
He's
I'm
never seen
gonna
it.
look through my Apple history real
That's
quick.
right. He's never seen it. Oh no, I'm not changing.
Briggs, how could you forget?
I forgot about it. No, Shawshank is still number 1. I'm not changing that off my list. Shawshank's number 1. I'll make Schindler's List number 2. Crimson, that's such a weird list. I'm gonna have Good Will Hunting
Yeah,
number 3.
I was trying to bounce around a bit
Yeah.
between everyone's list. So,
Shawshank, Schindler's, Goodwill. That's my list.
Shawshank would have been my one, but like I said, I didn't put it on my list because it's not streamable, so we didn't have access. So I'm not putting that as number one because it's redundant. My number one. This one is difficult.
harder, boys.
You can buy movies
Well,
through Xbox, right? Can I gift you Shawshank? Can we do this?
Life is Beautiful. I was gonna do Pulp Fiction, but I agree with your sentiment of Sinister's there.
I mean, like I said, if
We could schedule it. So
not
I'll say Pulp
impossibility.
Fiction is 2, and then 3 is Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, okay. Just because Nathan Fillion. Got it.
Oh, I didn't even remember he was in that.
I'm gonna say Pulp Fiction is my also my number one choice, but again, this is dependent on whether we can get
I
Sinister for
don't
it.
think it's fair to cover it without Sinister.
Yeah, so
Agreed.
I'm gonna leave that as I'm gonna leave that as tepidly number one for our thing, because if we can get Sinister, then I say we run with that. If not, we move down to just next on the list.
Okay, I mean, I seem the only one who have it, but I'm shooting for Schindler's List because we don't have a Spielberg yet, and I think the next 3 decades don't have as big or even on our lists of good Spielberg films.
I mean, see, I can't really.
I think that's what we want, though. I don't think we need to
Yeah,
tailor a
that's the
decade.
thing. If we
Okay,
had been
I mean,
tailored,
it's just
I would
something
have
for
argued
me.
for James Cameron earlier.
No, I know.
or
That's
I would
just
have argued
something of
for,
me to speak
Akira
to
Kurosawa.
pitch for it.
Yeah.
I mean, the 90s is where I thought this was going to get hard, and it's certainly the case here.
Well, there's no repeats. That's
Yep.
the hard part.
Well, yeah, it's probably going to be a pattern going forward
Yeah.
because there's so many choices.
Yeah.
Us at our age
Well,
have
okay,
seen
Crimson.
a lot
Yeah,
more
Crimson.
of these
I'm,
timeframes.
this is the third time I'm saying it. Your list blows me away. There's nothing. I don't even think I've seen any of those movies.
Watch a trailer. That was an option in the beginning of this.
That is true.
It's if you want to educate. I think it's a good idea to do it. I've been looking up these things and reading their synopsis if I don't know them, just so I give it a fair shake. I don't feel like it's fair if you just read the title of a movie and kind of know a little bit.
So Pulp Fiction's number 1, right? Is that what we're discussing?
Pulp Fiction number 1.
Well, I had that thought as my 2, but right now it's on 2 lists.
Yeah, which means it's number 1,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Okay.
All right, so I'll write it down in our list as Fiction 1 if we can get Sinister. So I'll put an asterisk next to it.
Okay. I am.
Okay.
Oh God, I can't. No.
Really thinking investing in
I would 100% purchase a copy for Ryder to watch.
If you do it, I'll pick it. I'll swap my Pulp Fiction role for Shawshank.
Yeah, I'll do it. Shawshank is that big. I'll do it. Yeah.
All right.
Ryder, I'm purchasing you a copy of Shawshank.
Sorry, Ryder, but it's such a good movie. I know you'll really like it.
All right. Don't buy it through Xbox. I'll send you some details later.
Okay.
All right. Shawshank.
So Shawshank then.
Number 1. 2, I guess. Pulp Fiction
Fiction
could be the backup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with going with Saving Private Ryan.
As your third.
I think Good Will Hunting is a better film comparing the two.
I'm gonna go with Good Will Hunting as my third. So I mean as my third backup or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So Goodwill then.
Yeah, I'd go with Good Will Hunting.
All right.
All right. On to
Shawshank,
next
Pulp
one.
Fiction, Goodwill. All right. Yep,
Which was this one is
2000s.
I know, but I think you said this one was your hardest.
Yeah, that's why it has 4. It's the only one I have more than 3 on. And you're probably going to be like, "What the heck are these again?"
Maybe.
Probably. That's exactly what I thought when I read your list. I don't know what the fuck these are. Oh,
I knew that would
fuck.
be there.
God damn it.
Unfortunately, a lot of mine are franchise films.
Yeah, hey, see, all of them are franchise films now. Aren't you excited for National Treasure? No, wait. It's
I didn't choose
it is National Treasure that's being turned into a TV show, right?
It's already a
not.
TV show.
It's already you're on
Six
like
episodes
episode
are like
4 or
already
something
yeah,
now. 6. Oh,
I think.
Okay.
it's out. Yeah.
Okay. Writer.
Okay. Show. Avatar 2009. Given we're just fresh off of A Way of Water, the reason it's here is obviously because it's iconic in the sense of like the
It's
fact that it's
relevant.
been the #1 highest grossing movie of all time. Despite our collective confusion about that. And I therefore I also don't deny that back then the way it pushed forward visual effects was groundbreaking in the way that Star Wars prequels were at the beginning of the decade. Um, and well, we kind of touch a little bit on it in The Way of Water, but we may as well just catch the fuck up, I guess. With since we're getting more, we may as well cover #1. Um, National Treasure. I haven't seen it, but you know what?
Huh?
I understand that it's iconic, so that's why it's here.
God, that
Because of
hurt. That one hurt.
yeah. Don't worry, I'll stab you again. This next one's gonna be a shocker. I haven't seen Taken 1.
I haven't seen any of the Takens.
I haven't
so
seen any
not
of
too worried about that.
Dekins.
Oh, but the first Taken movie is iconic, so that's also
Yes.
why it's here. It's very very well written. It's an action movie with Liam Neeson. I don't think I need to pitch much of it to you because we all come from
I'll
this
find you,
decade.
and I'll kill you.
Yeah. American Psycho is here, 2000.
God, that was
This
almost on
is
my list.
yeah. The reason it's here is because it is an iconic movie. Christian Bale.
I think it was a breakout role.
It was in fact his breakout role, I think, as well. But it is here because it is a very very and it was
It's classified as a
uh
horror, right?
not really a horror. It's more of a thriller, I think it is,
Yeah.
because it's not really horror what's being done. It's just
Okay.
thriller. Um,
Is it kind of like Dexter?
Yeah. Ish.
a little. Um, the game was in the '90s, right? Your movie Crimson that you liked a
The
lot.
game?
The game.
I really like that one.
That was
Oh,
'90s, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
No.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Something.
That was on my. That was
It's
also on the list.
teetering on the edge. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's also on my list, but I moved it out eventually.
I
Cloverfield is
didn't put
technically
it
a
because it's not on streaming.
franchise. Cloverfield is technically a franchise, but
But it's
I only care about the
groundbreaking.
first one.
Yeah.
That's why it's here. Yeah. And the odd one that I also think is very, very good and very iconic that is is underrated is Requiem for a Dream, 2000. Fucking amazing movie.
That's Tom Cruise? No.
Requiem for a Dream? I don't think
No.
it's Tom
No.
Cruise.
Sorry, I confused it with Eyes Wide Shut. My mistake.
Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly and Jared Leto.
All right,
I'm looking
Crimson.
up the synopsis because I haven't heard of that. All right. So, like I said, I got 4 on this one. The only list I have more than 3. Atlantis, The Lost Empire. We got Treasure Planet in there. Why not do the better movie?
Yeah, they're
that
underrated
is
Disney film.
associated? Yes. Atlantis is pretty solid. I imagine we've all seen it.
Yes.
That would be
Right
no.
Oh, then that would be a good one.
Boy.
Taeguki is a Korean war film made in Korea. Crazy. It's a pretty heartfelt film. It's at the beginning of the Korean War. These 2 brothers get split up, and each was forced to fight on each side of the war. And you get some pretty good drama because of that, and good emotional beats. Um, I think it's called the Brotherhood of War. I think is the translation or whatever the American title for it. Um, I Love You, Beth Cooper. Uh, threw in a random teen romance I don't know if it's
I
rom
believe
com,
I've
but
heard of it. I think it's a
it
teen
it's got
drama.
Hayden Panettiere in it and the jock. Well, not, the guy from Laser Team, the military guy.
Alan
I
Richardson,
forgot what yeah, it's got him in it. I
Jack
think.
Reacher.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he's in it.
I think he does Raphael in the Michael Bay movies, the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. So I Love You, Beth Cooper is about a nerd kid who's in love with the popular girl, and hijinks ensue to whether or not he gets her or not. And then Looney Tunes Back in Action. Have you guys seen that one?
Yes, you're a big Brendan
Yep.
Fraser fan.
Okay,
Yep,
then I don't have to talk about it. All right.
yeah,
It is
It's
a good
good.
film. I am a sucker. I will say I am a
It-
sucker for live action animation, like back
it
to
is
back.
it is good. I unfortunately I don't. We'll get to that end.
Okay, I'll go on to mine, which is God. I think they're all pretty much franchise. First one is Avatar. We've covered Way of Water at this point, and it's an opportunity to go with the first one and at just how big the first Avatar movie was. So big, in fact, that it is the highest-grossing movie of all time. Also, in case it's just a little fact for you too, in case you didn't know, Avatar 2 has already outbeaten Top Gun Maverick after 3 weeks,
Yep.
Yep.
and that was
Crazy.
in theaters for 7 months. Secondly, I have Iron Man, the start of the MCU. I'll say, being these all franchise, I feel like I'd be butchered if I didn't say some of these, so they're in here for that reason. One of the main reasons.
Oh,
kind
don't
of thing.
worry.
Okay, then.
I
But
I'm
Yeah.
gonna argue
Yeah.
I'm gonna argue a lot for my one choice that I settled
Yeah,
on. For
even though I
iconic
think
next decade.
none of my choices are going to be picked because of what we discussed. But Iron Man 1, start of the MCU, boy, what a turnout. Jon Favreau, great idea. Next, huge franchise, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, well, to me, those were the big iconic ones. Following up with fun is Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I know it's a jokey answer, but it's how big it is and how serious, and it's still discussed today. Twilight, I have that in there, and then
If not for the memes.
yeah, and then Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Was Hunger Games 2000s or
Hunger
was that
Games
2010s?
was
2010s.
2010s.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought that was older.
Yep.
We
When did that
have
come out?
one repeat. It looks like
2012.
Yeah. Let's see.
yeah, we have one repeat, and I think it's a pretty solid answer.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Avatar just because of the repeat. Despite my personal feelings towards it, I objectively recognize that it's iconic. Then Atlantis because well, I think the two of you would rake me over the head if I said I didn't see it, and I'm like, all right, that makes me want to watch it more. And 3 is probably gonna be American Psycho.
Brinks, do you have an answer for your 3?
Yeah, the exact same list
Okay,
Ryder
go
just
out,
said.
I think. No, okay.
All right.
Avatar, Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and American Psycho. That is a great list out of these options. One thing to make me think of swapping Avatar and Atlantis is because Ryder hasn't seen Atlantis.
Is it iconic for the decade?
Well, I don't know if
Well-
that's our goal for this, is it?
Well, kinda. It's a half a
Or-
goal to make it
It's
iconic.
both.
Yeah,
We're
It's a
trying to do
talking
both.
point. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
pure goal though.
Trying to do both.
I will say at the time it came out, no. As of today, yes. So that's a really tough one to go with. Atlantis and Treasure Planet fit in that line.
It's tough because I don't. I wouldn't even put Avatar in my top 3, but you both want to do that.
It's not
I
that
just
we want to do it.
no,
it's
I
just
don't
that
want.
It's,
I
it's
think
Well,
it's
you
a.
guys think it's applicable.
I think it's a good
Yeah.
opportunity to use it for Avatar to be covered because we're doing Way of Water, so it's a good chance to get the first one in there, and it's also pretty darn iconic for 2000s.
It's clearly a runaway iconic for that decade,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
which is why I'm thinking of making it number 2 for that reason. So it's not just a landslide, because Atlantis
Yeah, I
is
guess
really good.
I'll do the same 3 choices, but I would put Atlantis, American Psycho, and Avatar in that order.
Okay, well, we got our list. Those are the 3.
All right. So I think in that case, then Atlantis wins.
Yeah, I think
Right.
Atlantis should be 1.
Atlantis wins.
Avatar, American Psycho.
Then Avatar goes second. Then American Psycho last.
Yeah.
So. Question is, can we fucking watch it?
They're all they're on Disney Plus. Not American Psycho, but those first 2 are on Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
Atlantis, Avatar, and
Yeah, I
Strengths has been trying to get me to watch that for years.
American Psycho. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 2010s.
I only have one.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah,
You
I
only
have the
chose
one.
1 out of all 10 years?
Yeah, because it's the only one that stood out to me as being the most iconic and extremely well done.
Wild.
This is why I rejected the idea of franchise films. It's the only reason. This is it.
This is the one
this
option
is-
why. All right, well, Crimson, I guess you and I can share our votes in. See how it goes. Ryder, I will agree. Your choice is revolutionary for what it did in the cinema market.
Exactly. It's
There's
literally
only one other thing that comes to mind, though, that did it before, which was King Kong versus Godzilla.
probably, but there's a reason this is still above that.
Oh boy,
So,
what
I
a
guess
list! This is a weird. This is a weird one.
you
Yeah.
keep saying my lists are weird.
I
Are you
mean,
saying
the
in
reason.
No, I meant.
to
Oh,
be
this
fair,
one's overall.
This is a hard decade to do because we're still so close to it. We don't know what's going to be long lasting as iconic.
I guess so. Yeah.
That's why I picked that's why the one on my list is the only certainty of it, because it's very clear. It was a very clear cut for me which one was iconic of this decade.
All right, Ryder, go ahead and share.
All right, yeah. So my first choice and my only choice for this decade was the first Avengers movie, from 2012, directed by Joss Whedon. The reason this is iconic from this decade, it should be obvious. It's the first time in such a bombastic way that iconic movie franchise characters came together to have their own story, and their own on-screen story together. It revolutionized. It's such revolutionized cinema for however long it's going to keep going, in the sense that of a shared universe. In this is before all the TV shows and stuff came out for it, but this is an experiment that went really really well, because back then there was no guarantee that this was going to work, um because uh we've it's a format that we've seen only done in television before, really, where we combine it combines the benefits of long format storytelling only to be found in TV shows prior to this, um in a manner that's just very unique. So the first Avengers movie for me was very very clear cut as to why this is iconic for the decade, and also just a good movie. Um, I and this is the reason why I rejected the idea out of hand of not knocking out franchise films, uh, even if they were in the middle or not, because of this movie specifically.
And for you only having 1 pick.
I mean, I had other picks, but this was the only one that stood out to me as iconic. That's clearly defined as iconic.
Okie doke.
All right, I'll do mine next. I guess divisive, because the a lot of people think this movie's trash, but there's a percentage of people like me who really enjoy it. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time.
The Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal and Gemma Arterton.
I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it's
I have not seen it.
it's not what. Oh, well,
I mean, I enjoyed
that's
the
one
movie.
I need to show at some point.
it's I wouldn't call it iconic, but yeah,
No.
it's fun.
No, like I said, my goal on my list weren't necessarily iconic films. It's just films I would like to cover for a decade. So Prince for St. Times, it's fun. Red, have both of you seen that?
Yes, Crimson, you've shown me both
Okay,
Red
don't talk
movies.
about. Yeah, and Still Alice. How do you know that one?
Nope.
Yep.
Okay, similar to what I said earlier with Life is Beautiful. Another movie that got me tearing up a lot. This movie's about Alzheimer's, and you follow the main characters who has it and how that illness affects the people around her as well as herself. And it's a strong emotional film.
Okie doke.
Sprinks.
I'll go with the franchise one out of the way first. Frozen. Frozen was a film that exploded. It, I, I don't necessarily know
Unbelievably.
what about Frozen made it such a hit that it overtook Disney for a second. I don't know what it is.
It was the music.
It's
That was the only thing.
huge.
No one talked about the movie. It was just the music
It's
playing everywhere.
it's one of the only.
No. We talked about the movie. Hans is a very, very interesting
Yeah.
character and a good twist on the usual princess storytelling.
It's one of the only movies I know that got so one of the only animated movies I know of that has become so popular of the time that they put the music of an animated movie on the radio, on public radio. That's wild. Next up, but then again, it's a franchise. They have Frozen 2, so and then all the Olaf shorts, but I don't know if those count. Anyway, next up on my list, I have Parasite. Parasite's a film that it's personally, it's one of the most weirdest advertisings I've ever had for a film where I didn't know anything about it, but everyone and anyone around me in any public space talked about it in a way that they didn't spoil a thing. It was so odd to me for months. I just hear people talking about Parasite, but not revealing any information or detail about it until I finally saw it. It's phenomenal. It's a great movie. I believe
It's a foreign film, right?
I believe it's a
Yeah.
Korean film. It's very good. Good twist. Very cool. Next, I have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, another movie that for animation exploded. Very good. A lot of people say this is the best Spider-Man movie. I don't think this is my time to talk about that. Second one's coming out. At the time we do, if this is chosen and we do record, I don't know if the second one will be out by then. So technically, at this point, it's not franchise.
When
But yeah, that's
when
coming.
is the second one slated?
Sometime this year.
This year at
It
some
got
point.
pushed to this year.
Oh, no date.
No date yet.
Maybe. Not off the top of my head. But yeah, just how big this film is in the animation industry. For my fun ones, I have another musical, La La Land. Also a movie I think that blew up when it came out. The music was everywhere. Next, I have Get Out, Jordan Peele's directorial and writing debut for his first film that I think he's made 3 at this point with Us and Nope, horror movie. And then lastly, I have Joker, the standalone movie starring Joaquin Phoenix telling a tale about the Joker, which will also at some point in the future be a franchise because the second one's in production.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the Avengers. My thoughts on that is I feel like we could do Marvel phases as seasons in of themselves.
I know, but
So
like I said, it's
feel like
the
that
reason
would
it's here
fit
is
that.
the only reason it's here is because it's clearly the only one by far and away that's iconic. I think Frozen's actually a good. Like I don't Joker hasn't been out long enough for me to judge whether that's going to be iconic or not. That's what like I said. I tried to do my list kind of a bit of both.
Yeah.
Um,
The unfortunate thing with you, writer, right now is you only have one option.
I'll tell you. Into the Spider-Verse was on my list. I just removed it because I don't think it's been out long enough. Though I would argue absolutely the animation has done something for the animation is highly unique, and it feels like watching a comic book. So I will tell you, Into the Spider-Verse was on my list at one point. I just said like there's just it hasn't been out long enough, and it's not clear, cut, and dry for me as to why it was I could be considered iconic. Same with Joker. I think Frozen has been out long enough now that I would consider it iconic. Um,
Okay. Crimson, with your pitching, I think is the smartest way to tackle the MCU. I think it would be terrible to do like Avengers 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it would be weird if we did Iron Man 1, 2, 3. It would be in order of MCU release date, not necessarily time order, like Captain Marvel wouldn't be first kind of thing.
we already, but see, the thing is, yeah, well, never
You're
mind.
bringing in Doctor Strange, and
Yeah,
the
like I
reason
said,
for Doctor
we've already set a
Strange,
precedence, so
yeah,
because the MCU is so large, and
I
we're gonna be including She-Hulk here eventually. Spoiler alert. But
true. I think the only reason for those choices is the theming of the reason why. We chose Doctor Strange because of new. That was why it was in there. We're choosing She-Hulk because of bad. We could have chosen other things, but those were on a.
they have other
It's
things going for them, yes.
true. They have.
But
It's not just a
we still
self
set a
choice.
precedent nonetheless. We still set a precedent nonetheless by doing them out of order.
Yes, I don't think though. Just because of one is like pulling a pin on a grenade and they all just scatter. Like if someone goes like, I want to do Winter Soldier, not cover anything in Phase 1, not the first Captain America, just go to Winter Soldier and start. I don't think that's a good idea. I like this phase season thought process to tackle. Now I'm not saying we do one season phase, next season has to be Phase 2. It can be down the line, but I think that's the smartest approach to handle the MCU with how vast and huge it is.
Mhm.
And the reason I bring that up is because Avengers is number 5, number 6 on the list.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah. For Phase 1, yeah, I think
Yeah.
it'd be the last one.
Okay, I think it's the 6th film though, because Iron Man 2 is in Phase 1.
I mean, I'll give
That
you my
always surprises me every time I uncover that. Weird.
I mean, I'll give you my list here because, like I said, you haven't really convinced me not to pick Avengers. So Avengers is the one. I'd probably put uh Spider Verse is 2, and Frozen and Joker are tied for 3 right now.
Okay. The problem with your list, Crimson, is I wouldn't see any of those as that iconic, but they are standout films of the decade. I think Prince of Persia actually might be the least, because I just heard of it as a flop. Red, unfortunately, is a franchise with a
Atlantis was a
second one.
flop.
Atlantis was a flop. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Well,
list.
technically, yeah. Well, the reason, like I said, I can see Spider. Like, there's in my head, I can see Spider Verse becoming iconic as time goes on. Same with Frozen's. I would already label as iconic, but I don't like that movie as much as Spider Verse, so it gets slotted to third. And the same goes for Joker. I can see the potential for this being iconic because of the infamousy it already has. But again, not enough time has passed for me to consider it iconic yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with my list of. I'm gonna rule out Frozen, even though it's iconic because of franchise. I'm gonna go. Shoot, I don't know which one's better, Get Out or Parasite. I'm gonna go with Parasite because it's more of a foreign film, so it's not all American in taste. So I'm gonna go with Parasite number 1, Spider-Verse number 2, and Still Alice is 3.
It's gonna be similar to yours. Kind of different order though. Still Alice, Parasite, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man made it to all of our
Yeah,
lists.
so Spider-Man should
So
go 1.
I will happily watch Parasite. It's one of those movies I want to get off my list because I hear so much about it.
Same. I haven't seen it. Sprinks described perfectly where I've heard so much about it without hearing anything about it.
Yeah, that's how it was for like 4 or 5 months, going to grocery stores and just walking about and just hearing the buzz of it, but no detail shared. It was such a weird way of advertising a film. I mean, it wasn't meant advertising. I mean, it's not like the actual production team to go with that. I'm just saying the buzz of the film itself was like that, and it was odd.
You're continue writer. talking.
So if Spider-Verse is going first, Parasite will go second. And we don't have really anything for 3. So
Okay.
Into Spider-Verse.
all right, my fever/headache is getting worse. I need to go.
Oh, I mean, we're on the last one.
Yeah, I know. I need to go. So it's like I have homework to do, and my fever is getting worse, so I can't stay here anymore because I need to devote what mental fortitude I have left to just
Okay, would you like to just
surviving
throw in your list so it's in the running?
for 2020.
Yeah. Last decade.
Yeah, I didn't do any for 2020.
Okay.
So
Ryder doesn't have a list.
like I said, yeah, I didn't have a list because too soon to tell. At this point, it's just a way of water, and we already covered that. So
Okay.
or
Alright.
Maverick, I guess too. But those are my picks, I suppose, for that.
Okay.
So
Way of
far
Water
this
and
decade.
Maverick. Way of Water was covered. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Bye.
Hope your headache does
Toodaloo.
better.
Yeah, I hope so too. See ya.
Bye. Oh,
Man, he was so close.
felt bad.
About the Avengers?
Yeah,
Oh, I feel. I
really wanting to do that.
I understand the reason behind it and how big it is and what it changed. I mean, it's big. It's I think the start of cinematic universes for anything. DC took it. Universal tried with their remake of the Mummy with their horror verse. Like it changed cinema in that way of making normal standalone movies to be compiled to a big one later on. Unfortunately, MCU is such a tricky thing to go around because it's not just 1, 2, 3. It's like 3 movies in the universe, and then you get the sequel to the first. So, as I said,
Yeah.
I think your take on doing a phase a season is the easiest way to cover. And luckily for the pick of Avengers, it would be in the first choice done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my big thing against Ryder on that part was he only had one thing chosen to kind of go with. So, anyway, 2020s to now, which is 3 years to choose. So
Well, barely.
it's going to be hilarious in 7 years when we look at it and go, "Why did we choose that?" Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
You want to shoot out your list first?
Yeah, there you go. All right. So I picked everything, everywhere, all at once. All I've heard is praise of that movie. I've yet to see it. All I could say is I hope it's streamable if we end up
Yeah, that's
choosing
another
it.
thing. This is so down the line that hopefully they're streamable.
The Secret Garden, the bad one, the new one,
Okay.
just to see it, and then I wrote Ebola Holmes.
Yeah, I see that.
Holmes.
Enola
It
Holmes.
auto-corrected.
Okay. Enola Holmes.
Enola Holmes.
Which now is a franchise with the second one.
Yeah.
All right. My list also compiles of everything everywhere all at once because of just how big I've heard that movie is, and I think it's won awards already and everything. I also have Top Gun Maverick. It's in theaters 7 months. It's a great follow-up movie. And again, franchise to Top Gun 1, but it does match with Ryder, giving his one choice. And lastly, it's a little funny, but I think it would help a little bit on how we choose things to be new by the time it's covered. It might help, and that would be the Barbie movie, which I believe comes out in June or July. And then as my not iconic really, but more fun, I have Pig, the Nick Cage movie, which very heartfelt drama. Not at all the movie I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be way more like John Wick, and it wasn't. But it's still very good. Next is another Nick Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I think it's a good comedy. It's good action. Um, it's an interesting take to a movie because it's a bit meta and how it sees itself as a movie, which is kind of cool. And then lastly, Bullet Train, just because I've seen it so many darn times. And we have a last minute add on to our Discord here from Ryder saying he forgot about Everything Everywhere All at Once, so add it to his list.
Sorry.
So we have a 3.
We have a common
connection.
thread.
Yeah.
All right. Did you say your last one?
A Bullet Train, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is
Yeah, I think that should be up
pretty
there,
solid.
number 1.
Barbie is interesting, but really need to get lucky with timeline for that, because
just because
right now how this is
new,
slated, we're gonna start filming maybe or recording the 30s early April, I think, or late March, I think is roughly the timeline. And the 2020s would be the last. That would be 10 weeks from early April. So 2.5 months. So it'd be cutting it really close to the release of Barbie for that to work.
Let me just double
Going
check.
off of what you said of June, July.
Yeah, Barbie is July 21st.
July. So the odds are that would be a month off of when we need to film this. Right, June, July. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that was the reason why I put it in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Well, do you even want to compile lists? You do yours and I do mine?
Sure. I'll say Everything Everywhere All at Once. Second would be Bullet Train. And third would be Secret Garden.
Interesting. Okay, mine would be Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'd like Top Gun to be in there, but it is franchise and second one, so I think the first needs to be tackled first, even though how big it is. So my second, I would go with... Out of these options, my second, I would go with Pig. And my third, I would do Barbie. So that didn't really narrow anything down.
No, not really.
We know Bullet Train's on streaming. I know Pig is on streaming. Everything
all my
Everywhere.
choices are on streaming.
Everything Everywhere is on streaming?
It's on streaming, but there's you and I have access through Sinister Writer. I'm not sure if he has it, so that was something I'd have to check.
Okay. Well, are we gunning for a second here?
So our number one's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah.
I think Bullet Train's... Look, you know I like Bullet Train. I saw it 3 times in theaters. I've seen it 5 times total so far. It's very good. Yeah, I'll tie with you on Bullet Train. I think Pig's very good, but I don't think it's iconic or well known enough.
Yeah. All I got out of this is we all did not understand what this was.
No, no. That's why I compiled 2 lists to help, because I wasn't quite sure.
My whole intention with this idea was we all pick something we would like to cover in a decade. But yeah, Ryder went iconic for the decade.
Well, I mean,
unfortunate.
Technically, in that standard, everything I did choose is something I would like to get covered.
Yeah, but Ryder got shortchanged because he didn't view it that way. All right, Bullet Train second, third probably doesn't really matter because
should we just put Barbie?
Bullet Train's probably pretty safe. Sure. All right, and that is the list.
All right, now you just want to go through what we have chosen. So
including backups or just...
Let's just go with number ones.
All right.
See the solid final picks.
30s we got Wizard of Oz. 40s Casablanca. 50s 12 Angry Men. 60s The Sound of Music. 70s Enter the Dragon. 80 The Princess Bride. 80s. 90s Shawshank. 2000s Atlantis. The Lost Empire. 2010s Into the Spider-Verse. And 2020s Everything Everywhere All at Once.
All right, so we have one, two. We have two musicals. We have Casablanca's a romance, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
One,
I am surprised
two-
we ended up getting no military movies.
We have
With a lot were thrown in there.
yeah, we have two cartoons. We have
Casablanca. Oh, it doesn't even list the genre.
I guess
Okay.
two dramas. Okay, we have a good mix of genre. Good.
Casablanca, romance, war, drama.
Okay. It is romance. So yeah, we got romance. Sound of Music has romance, and Princess Bride has romance. And then I guess if you want to call Atlantis romance, kinda.
There is a romance in it.
Yeah.
Not called a romance film.
Now I don't know if Ryder's gonna get around to listening to this part of recording we have, but dude, Atlantis has one of the best Disney villains ever. Rourke is
Pretty
such
hardcore.
a cool villain, a good villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good, solid picks.
Let's see who's hosting. Wizard of Oz.
Oh shoot, yeah, hosting. I
Yes.
forgot about hosting. Okay. Princess Bride, please. I was gunning for 80s. That's the only thing I had written down. If I was going to host,
list,
it was going to be 80s. I'll take Princess Bride. Oh boy. Let me look at this. Is there anything I feel like there's only one movie I shouldn't host. I'm fine hosting any of the other ones except one, which is Enter the Dragon. I've never seen it, and I think that should be given to Ryder or someone else other than me.
I agree. Right, Ryder picked that, so I'm automatically put him as host.
And hopefully, the butchering of editing, if this comes out or whatever, this is a good compiled list of what we've stated and talked about. Sorry if your pick didn't get chosen. We talked about a lot of things that can get covered later. We know of the picks that we talked about, so they can be covered later. Just putting it out there, saving our skins. Okay, because I know people in the comments are going to be like, "Oh, man, you chose this over that, and you did this wasn't even on anyone's lists," and who knows?
They heard our thought process.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how much of this is getting cut up, so. But yes, I'm fine hosting any of them.
I'm
except
picking
that one.
Atlantis since I pitched that one.
Okay.
That gives Spider-Verse.
That gives a little shaky. Well, we should at least all have three, right? And then there's one outlier.
I think that should be the goal. I don't know if that needs to be our end goal.
Okay.
Though. If it doesn't shape up that way, it's fine. But
then I guess this is a question for you or I. Which one of us wants Shawshank?
I'm right now looking at what I would cover. I do 12 Angry Men, but I feel like Ryder probably would.
I think Ryder should take that. That's a big, heavy writing.
Yeah. That's right.
I have three in mind that I'll cover. Well.
Right. So I guess what I would. Yeah, Atlantis and Shawshank are probably the two shoe-ins that I would do. If you're all right with me taking Shawshank.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm thinking Princess Bride for myself. Princess Bride. I'll take Wizard of Oz. And shoot. I mean, I could do Spider-Verse, but I'd also take Sound of Music.
Typey.
So it would give Ryder Casablanca, 12 Angry Men, Enter the Dragon. And then if he wants everything everywhere all at once. Or
Casablanca, Ryder.
And I think that this is fine. We don't have to go like a pattern of like you, myself,
I'm already
Ryder,
back
you, myself. Yeah, we can have back-to-backs.
All right, you said Wizard of Oz is you?
Yeah, I'll take Wizard of Oz, Princess Bride, and I'll do Sound of Music. And I can also do Spider-Verse, but I mean, we don't know what the outlier number is right now. Because you need one more, right?
If we're doing the hard 3 rule, yeah. All right, so
I think it would be the most fair.
yeah, the only thing I didn't have written down is Spider-Verse and everything everywhere.
Okay.
There's 1, 3, 1, 2. All right.
I'll take Spider-Verse. Otherwise, that's 3 of you back to back.
Okay.
So I'll be the outlier there if you want to take everything everywhere.
Okay.
Man, all this behind the scenes of an almost 3-hour meeting.
Yeah, right. I thought it would be an hour, hour and a half.
Absolutely not. I knew no way it was going to be an hour. That's why I said, like, we're going to record this. It has so much to it. And I honestly thought we'd all be coming with at least 3 picks, which pretty much went through. So that's 9 to discuss through.
Yep.
But yeah, that franchise later decision did help clear up some things. Especially, I think that was my 2000s picks. None of those went through because they were all franchise. Well, except Avatar, but
Yeah, like I said, I've kind of felt bad for Ryder because a lot of his got snuffed right out the bat.
I agreed with some of
It
the
did
stuff.
make things easier.
Yeah. All right, we have our lists. Kudos, way to go.
Yeah, we did it. We
Fanfare.
survived.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy the list we've made and our thoughts of what those will be when they come out. It seems like a good majority are ones that some of us have never seen. So that's good.
Actually, yeah. Out of this list, how many have you not seen?
1, 2, 3. I have not seen 3 of them. At least going from the first picks.
Primaries, yeah. Yeah, 3. Same.
Okay. And with Ryder, I think it was 1.
Oh, sorry, 4.
2,
The Sound of Music.
3, 4. I think Ryder hasn't seen 4 of them.
Exciting.
I don't think he's seen Casablanca, Shawshank, Atlantis, or Everywhere all at once.
Did you say Under the Dragon? Because you said you hadn't seen that.
Oh, he hasn't seen that. Okay, then 5. He hasn't seen 5 of them. So that's a good list for him. 5 he has and 5 he hasn't. But yeah, I haven't seen Casablanca, Enter the Dragon, or Everything Everywhere. Those are 3 I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen Casablanca, Sound of Music, Enter the Dragon, and Everything Everywhere all at once.
All right. Wonderful. Well, thanks for listening. I don't know if I should send this off like a podcast. Whatever you're listening on, thank you. If that's Spotify, Apple Music, Castbox Media, Anchor, YouTube wise, Samsung. I'm so sorry. This isn't usually my coverage to do. If I forgot, I forgot. I'm sorry. And follow us on the socials. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Crazy. We got a Reddit. We have a Pinterest. We got Instagram. Help me out. What am I missing? We got other things.
What,
Maybe
Twitter, LetterBox, what?
LetterBox. We got LetterBox. If you want to see our scores kind of compiled. I think that's about everything. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time when we get into the. I think we're officially calling it the Decanary. Decenary. I don't know how it's
I
pronounced.
don't know.
Whatever. The decade. The 10 decades of decades. Yeah, and we had Ryder and Sinister might pop in for a couple of them, and I'm pointing my finger over towards you.
Yeah, he's not opting out.
Okay, let me rephrase. I'm
He'll
pointing
make
my
what he can
finger.
make.
Crimson. I am pointing my finger at you to sign off.
Oh, I'm Crimson Maroon. Bye.
There we go, and I'm Sprinks. See you next time. Toodaloo.